It's the penultimate race of the regular season for the Area Cup Series. Welcome to Pocono Raceway in the Pocono Mountains region of Pennsylvania. I'm Kyle Heyer, joined tonight by Finian DeCuna, Hunter Sleppy, and Eric Wineland as we get prepped to go racing from the Tricky Triangle. Finian, welcome aboard. This is a fun racetrack. It is fast, and we've got just 2 races left. 2 wild cards, perhaps, with Pocono this week and Talladega next to get ourselves set up for our playoff structure.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you aren't already locked into the playoffs, and I can tell you quite a few drivers aren't locked into the playoffs due to one particular driver winning a lot of races, it's going to be really tough to try to lock in that spot because we got 2 very difficult tracks. Pocono is just difficult to drive. It's a hard track to get around well, get around fast. And then Talladega, as we all know, is going to be a complete wild card as to who's going to win that race. So it's going to be tough to lock your spot into the playoffs.
Indeed, that is the case, and an interesting stat to look at here after Jake Nichols, and it's hard to imagine that he's lost races this year, but the race after he loses, he comes right back and wins, and if I do recall, last week's winner was David Weishart, so I would keep an eye on Jake Nichols, probably looking to steal a victory. Well, not really steal, more like dominate here at the Tricky Triangle, Kyle.
Yeah, and again, for those watching the stream, apologize. I just blasted everybody's ears out with sound there as I was reconfiguring something. I had a drive failure yesterday getting reconfigured. We'll be back here in a second, just momentarily. Finian, as we head into our penultimate race of the season, though, we talked about Tricky Triangle having 3 unique corners, the first of which representing one famous track, the second representing a different one, and then corner number 3 representing a third. Indianapolis, Trenton, and what's the third one? Does anybody remember?
Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, that's it.
Milwaukee Mile.
Is turn number 2, I believe. Well, Indianapolis is 3.
Turn 3.
Nope.
Turn 3. What? Indianapolis is 2.
Leave it to Hunter. Leave it to Hunter and Eric.
Yeah,
This
the
is
hometown guy.
This is the hometown gig. Trenton's over in turn 1. We got Indianapolis over here in turn 2. We got the Milwaukee Mile over here in turn 3.
Okay, well, at least somebody's paying attention. I'm got my hands on a bunch of different controls right now. So tonight we've got 80 laps. The Cup Series will kick off here in just a few minutes' time. We have 5 minutes until qualifying kicks off. Let's talk about the best driver of the season so far. Finian has been Jake Nichols, but last week it was David Weishart that took home his first victory of the season in the number 33.
Yeah, arguably long overdue for the number 33 machine. He's been doing really well this season so far, just hasn't quite been able to get that car in victory lane, was able to finally just secure himself a playoff spot, although I don't even think he really needed it. He was definitely high up in the standings where, he's currently sitting second in the standings in points alone, so he was doing pretty well for himself there. Got other guys, though, doing well in the point standings, probably should have had one, especially Ryan Hart's in the number 3. It's almost kind of surprising to think that the number 3 hasn't gotten the victory yet. Might have a chance tonight. He's currently sitting second fastest, but of course the 91 sitting on top of the practice time charts.
Indeed, and Ryan Hart, as you mentioned, he's been so close these last few weeks into just getting inside victory circle here. And looking back at it, Pocono, we actually were here back in season 1 for area, and the winner of that was, oddly enough, David Weishart, leading 43 of the 80 laps. So it seems like they're going to want to win tonight. Probably going to want to lead a lot of laps, or you could lead as little laps as possible. It's going to be interesting because that's when we ran the Gen 6 back in Season 1. Next Gen here, still a lot of question marks here. Even though I was at the Pocono race in real life NASCAR, I still don't know what to expect from it on the sim.
Yeah, I think there's a lot left to discover from drivers, teams, and broadcasters alike. 4 minutes left here in practice. Looking down the list of drivers to chat about, well, we could find our way all the way down to Garrett Grant, someone that had a pretty good result last week after kind of throwing it all on the table in the Launchbox Series, I believe. So we'll see if he can repeat that good result here in the Cup side. And other drivers that are back, Brian Chambliss is making a return to the Cup Series. His first run of the season was back at Chicagoland, and he was really in a good position back there at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I was going to say, I want to keep an eye on him, just in general, because, like you mentioned, had a really good run the last time he was out here with this group of drivers. Also wanted to note, though, his internet, he's been having a bit of internet issues in practice. He dropped connection earlier on, and his ping is not doing the best. It's at 166, so keep an eye. Hopefully this 25 can finish the race without dropping from the server.
And I'd say keep an eye on Chris Rabel in the 29 too. He just jumped up to 3rd quick on the charts here in practice. He's been having some solid runs. You gotta stay out of those wrecks. Stay out of trouble. Other than that, I think he should be a contender tonight from what I'm seeing.
Eric Wineland's down on pit lane.
I am mad worried, boys, about Ricky Springer. Ricky is our only winner that's technically outside the top 12 in points, but above 20th, which puts him in on his win. But he's only 13 points above the cut line to 20th. So Ricky Springer's got a lot to worry about tonight, not getting caught up in those wrecks that Hunter said, because 13 points is not a huge buffer with 2 races left. And obviously this final race of the regular season is Talladega, which you can lose a lot of points really quickly. So Ricky Springer got a point race tonight, and I'd have a lot of nerves if I were in his position.
Yeah, I think everyone going into Talladega that's not absolutely locked in has some kind of nerves. And we talk about Talladega being a bit of a wild card race for a lot of different reasons, Finney. And we don't really talk about Pocono being that. We probably should. This is going to race, I think, so much like a plate race, but you don't have the opportunity to advance quite so much. But you can lose the draft, lose the pack, and find yourself with a pretty big uphill climb in this 80-lap race, which is not super long, but it's also not that short. You have quite some time to move forward. But I think some of the drivers that start towards the rear will want some more time. So qualifying in a few minutes here will be of the utmost importance.
Oh, absolutely, and especially if if we get some cautions here. It's going to take a while. It's going to eat up quite a few of those laps, and getting only 80 laps, you think caution is going to take 2 or 3 laps out of that race system. So if we do have some wrecks, we'll have to see. We may or may not with this group of drivers. I want to say not with these guys. They expect it to be a pretty clean and green race. But that can eat up some time. So you definitely want to get a good qualifying effort, and you also want to make sure if you do have a mediocre / poor qualifying effort, want to try to get up to the order as quickly as you can. Although that's easier said than done.
Now only a minute left here in practice. And looking back at my notes, Garrett Grant, like you mentioned, looking to keep a solid momentum going. They actually got a top 5 here back in season 1. Ed Robertson also had a top 10 effort, and Jacob Bell got 9th, but the Bell that's up there is not Jacob. It's actually Matthew Bell. He's also been on a hot streak as of late, been running more consistent towards the front. Only second quickest to Jake Nichols in this practice session. Keep an eye on him. Maybe he could get a good qualifying effort, and we can see what that 9 car can do.
And we've actually seen Matthew kind of really up in the mix. Anecdotally, we've just talked about him a lot more lately, and usually when you're getting talked about and you're not crashed, you're having a pretty good night. So Matthew Bell second here in practice. Qualifying will kick off here in a minute, and Finney and I think this is going to be one of the most important qualifying sessions of the season, maybe for those that are on the outside looking in and still have the chance to point their way in. The thing is, you can't really walk out of here confident at all, even if you can't have good points here, because you could lose all of them next week at Talladega.
Oh, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. You definitely don't want to make sure you're banking on Talladega unless you're really just hoping for that wild card and just getting that shot. If you're a guy that's a little bit more comfortable in the points, try to get as many points, just get a solid day out tonight. So that way you can have your mind a little bit more at ease, because Talladega is going to throw everyone for a loop.
That's going to be the case indeed. Nope, go on.
I was just going to say qualifying is coming up here, Hunter, as we conclude practice, and we'll let you get your point in here before we get back on track.
Well, I was just going to say that's the case indeed. You don't want to be sitting in a pickle, especially points-wise, like Eric said with Ricky Springer, only 13 points above 20th within that threshold with a win. So you want to play it safe here, but you also don't want to be running like in a position where you're vulnerable and can be caught up in any wreck at any moment, because as we're going to see throughout this race, I think turn 2, the tunnel turn, is actually going to be the trickiest turn tonight. Especially going to be tight with those side-by-side actions. Very easy to overrun the corner. Kind of catches you off guard when you're going up towards that wall. And we've seen some big wrecks here in the past in that tunnel turn, most notably in the Truck Series. But it'll be a problem tonight for the Cup guys.
Qualifying underway here in just a moment. Fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. For only $5 a month, you can watch all Area broadcasts commercial-free. You can also use new Area iRacing emotes in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise. Head over to twitch.tv/Area iRacing. Down into qualifying now. A very important session. And everybody going to take both laps, both opportunities to try to put the fastest time they can on the board here. There's Cosmo Yonoshiwu in the 84. Finian, this is just all about hitting your marks. I don't think you can get that creative with the strategy in this one. You just got to go fast.
Yeah, you just got to go fast, and it's also a long lap too, 53 seconds, which is pretty long for an oval. So there's a lot that can go wrong in the lap, especially 3 unique corners. It's kind of hard to get that rhythm because you have to tackle every single corner in a completely different way. So it's very easy to mess up, especially when you're pushing it hard, pushing yourself on the limit.
Especially a big difference here in the turns from last week at New Hampshire. Very, very almost flat, sort of. Then we go over down some of these straightaways. The most banked turn here is turn 1 at 14 degrees, so most of these corners are pretty much flat. You're coming up on the tunnel turn, that's 8 degrees in banking. Then turn 3, which is 6 degrees in banking, and then 4 degrees down the straight. So there's not a whole lot of room to lean on other than turn 1 in terms of banking. So you don't want to overdrive the corner too much because, like I said, the lower the banking, the more you're going to overrun that corner and it'll catch you off guard.
What turn 4? There's the exit turn number 3. Kazumi Onishiwu throttling up. One of the other tools that drivers have in their toolbox here that actually carries over from the previous generation car is shifting. Finian, of all the places that we see shifting now in the next gen car, this is not a place that is unique to the next gen car. They did that even with the H patterns, just a little bit easier than it was before now.
Oh yeah, I think in a way it's going to help these guys quite a bit. Being able to shift between the gears a lot easier, especially. But like you said, it's not that unique anymore. We're seeing these guys shift, pretty majority of the tracks all over the calendar because now you have 5 gears to work with, and you might as well use it. A lot of guys shifting down from 5th to 4th, and sometimes even 3rd, trying to just get more power out of the corner.
There's Greg Mitchell in the 2, quickest amongst those that put down a lap. Chris Rabel right behind in 2nd, coming out of the tunnel turn to complete lap number 2.
Rabel sitting on pit lane. Well, he's got just 1 lap in the books. Ed Robertson up to 2nd place on his 2nd lap. Mitchell goes no faster. That's an interesting climb there. Here's Michael Curhan in 4th currently as he rounds the final corner and heads back towards the start-finish line. See if he can improve. So far, it looks like lap 1 is the money lap, but Robertson went quicker on lap 2, and so will Curhan. He just will not gain any spots with that lap time improvement.
And Jake Nichols coming across the line, currently 9th on the charts in the 91 machine. He will complete lap number 2. And up to pole for the 91.
Yep. Saw that coming.
Color me surprised.
Well, we'll see if the 3 of Ryan Hartz can dethrone Jake Nichols. It's hard for any driver to do that, but if they can do it, it's definitely in qualifying. Jake Nichols, although he qualifies up towards the front, oddly enough, he's not on pole all the time.
Wow, ringing out 4th gear all the way to and past 9,000 RPM into turn 3. A little bit lower line here. We've seen a couple different lines in qualifying so far. And lap number 1 for Hartz is complete. Let's ride on board with Ryan Hartz with Eric Weinland.
All right, so barreling off into 1 here. There's a bump right there as we go over it and down into the banking of turn 1. 1 gear shift. There's 1 down from 5th to 4th, coming up off of turn 1 right here. Hartz is going to really wring this motor out. It's just the best way to gather as much momentum as you can as you barrel down these long straightaways here at Pocono. There's another gear shift back up to 5th, down to 4th again for the tunnel turn, and then you notice he's really not going to make a shift here. It's actually probably going to be a little slower for him if he does decide to shift down the short chute before he heads down into turn 3, and I stand corrected. He decided he had enough RPM, he would make the shift. So anywhere between 4 to 6 shifts on your lap here at Pocono through turn 3. Got right to the yellow line where you want to be through turn 3. Very nice, tidy lap for Ryan Hartz. Will it be faster, guys? 53.767, good enough for P3 in car number 3.
Great lap there for Ryan Hartz. He will put himself up inside the top 5. Go ahead.
No, I just noticed Matthew Bell, he was going a flying lap, about to complete lap number 1. He actually bailed out of it. He just came to a stop out of turn 3, decided he wanted to reset.
Give it another go. Hunter carrying speed onto the front straightaway is really important, but I'm surprised that Bell gave up a lap.
Yeah, I'm kind of off on that too. Yeah, it's about to scrape the wall there. So this is his warm-up lap to get back on track for lap number 2, and he's swerving to get some heat in the tires, but you want to get as much momentum as you can coming out of turn 3. If you don't get out of the corner the way you want to, it's going to affect your lap time greatly.
Onto the front straightaway, let's see what he gets for VMAX off into turn 1 without the draft. Probably see north of 185. Maybe 190 will touch before we get to the corner. 189, 190 at the mark. Down a gear into turn 1. Bell, this is the only lap he's going to have, so he can absolutely not afford to touch a wall anywhere around this circuit. We already saw him get into it on the entrance to the tunnel turn, Finney, and just trying to arc it in there pretty deep. But the tunnel turn is extremely line sensitive, just like Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's just really easy to miss, and if you miss, you're going to hit the wall.
Yeah, I was going to say, it is exactly like how Indy is, where if you don't hit it right, if you don't turn it in the exact right moment and you punch the gas, you'll find yourself hitting the ball more often than not, just like at Indy. You can see the man now riding just over the yellow line, going to probably destroy the camera, as well as he comes flying out of turn 3. Now we'll see, was it worth it to ditch that first lap? Will he be quick? He was second in practice. And for qualifying,
Devin?
P7.
Ooh, here's a guy that we should probably keep an eye on throughout the race. Shane Abbey, looking right now in points. It's 15th, minus 19 outside the cutoff line. If he gets a top 10 here, a solid points performance, could put him in a good situation heading into Talladega. Although, personally, I think if you're heading into Talladega without a win, you're not in a good situation.
Yeah, I don't think anybody is safe there. 53.995 puts him P20 on his opening lap. We'll see if he can improve on the second go. It's kind of been hit or miss, Finian, on which drivers improve on lap 2 versus lap 1. There are some tracks that it seems like a pretty obvious strategy, but a big moment through turn 1 there, and he scrambles for some grip, but I think he gathered it up, and he'll be all right.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of a Crow Brown moment there. Clip the apron to see him just clip it right there. Gets the rear end a little bit loose, was able to save it, but man, that's a hard stopper right there.
It's about 2 to 3 tenths losing right there, just like that. Just that little wiggle.
So back into turn number 3 now for Shane Abbey. I don't think he's going to improve just because of that. A couple drivers left to qualify. Running out of time, though, for those that have not begun a lap. They will not be able to qualify. Here comes Abbey across the line. 53.994 was a pickup by 1,000th of a second.
Unfortunately, if he was at least 2,000th of a second quicker, he would have passed this man right here, Chris Seidenfeld, currently sitting in 20th in the 45 machine.
Chris looking for some sort of momentum, but not.
Oh, man.
Oh, man.
Right into that inside wall.
Yeah, big hit there.
Side note here, one of the things I don't like about the reconfiguration of Pocono is how they push the inside wall closer towards the track. So it's another thing to keep an eye on, because if you do just what Chris just did, you just scrape the wall coming out of the corner, you're trending towards the inside wall, there's not a whole lot you can do, and that inside wall catches up in a hurry.
Yeah, I have to imagine the reason why they made that adjustment was hopefully to increase the momentum gain from spinning cars that kind of accelerate towards openings in the wall, and it kind of shallows out a little bit. So you're not necessarily going to hit the wall as hard, but it is certainly a lot closer and easier to hit than when there was the grass there on really the entire racetrack. It does feel a lot narrower than the old track did. Kazuma Yonishiwu at 54.228. He will qualify 31st. Not what he was looking for. The same for Jacob Bell, Garrett Grant, and Bryce Stafford as Bryce Senesat goes up to P10. Qualifying is complete. Jake Nichols and Greg Mitchell will be your front row starters for this one.
Yeah, and some surprising people that just didn't get a solid lap in or didn't get a lap in at all. Notably, I was trying to just have my timing screen disappear. Give me 1 second to gather back my thoughts. Aaron Smith, Alan Bellacino, Jonathan Cogswell, and Jeff Ryan all did not set qualifying times. Smith and Ryan, if I'm not mistaken, actually made an attempt, but they invalidated all their laps.
And looking here, it's another good starting effort for Greg Mitchell, but what we saw back at New Hampshire, he fell back quick, but was fortunate to get a decent finish at 14th, but doesn't want to fall back too much on the start like he did at New Hampshire.
Qualifying is complete. We'll be heading down to the grid here shortly, and we'll start our race like we start our mornings with Roasted Gems Coffee. Fans, be sure to visit Roasted Gems Coffee for some of the finest coffee from all over the world. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at roastedgems.com. We'll head down to the racetrack. Finn and I will roll through that starting lineup, and we'll kick things off with row number 1. Starting on row number 1, it's going to be the points leader, Jake Nichols. In the number 91, he will start alongside Greg Mitchell in that number 2 Ford Mustang. Finian.
Sitting behind row number 2, it's going to be Ryan Hartz in the number 3 machine. Starting in 3rd, Ed Robertson with a great qualifying effort in the 64. It's going to be rolling off in 4th.
Starting in 5th on the inside of row 3 is Chris Rabel's number 29. Michael Curhan's 24 will start in 6th.
Moving back, we find Matthew Bell in the number 9 machine in 7th place. Alex Weaver's going to be rolling off in 8th in the 4th machine.
Starting in 9th place, it'll be James Scioli's number 7, the butt kicker car. Bryce Senesac, the 0 and 9 green and black car, rolls off 10th.
Back in 11th, it's going to be Rafe Slate in the number 8 machine. Mark Patterson's going to be rolling on next to him, the 51 in 12th place.
13th place, Connor Okrezik's number 14. Danny Ware, the 00, starts 14th place.
Jay Weiser, a little bit mired back in 15th place. Got a little bit of work to do if he wants to make win number 2 happen tonight. Tyler Nichols next to him in the 41 is going to be rolling off in 16th.
17th place, making his return to area competition, is Brian Chambliss. Dom DeLeo starts 18th in the number 22 car.
And we're just informed that Travis Beckner, who would be rolling off in 19th, he's lost connection to the server, so hopefully he can join back before the green comes out and at least start from the pits. Dwayne Culberson's going to be rolling off in 20th in the 81 machine.
21st, Chris Seiden finds number 45. Shane Abbey, 22nd in the number 12.
And it looks like Chris Seidenbein also didn't roll off as well, so there he is. He's going to be starting from the pits, it seems. Back in 23rd, it's going to be Dante Ballard in the 21 machine. Douglas Newbig going to be rolling off 71 in 24th.
25th place is Ricky Springer's number 18. Tom Bourne starts 26th in the number 16 car.
Gary Allison's going to be rolling off in the 27 car in 27th place. Michael Sturgill in the 17 is going to roll off in 28th.
29th place is Ryan Swans, number 19. Andrew Player starts 30th in the number 13 car.
Kazu Nirashima is going to be in 31st in the 84. Joining him next to him is the 77 of Jacob Bell in 32nd.
33rd place is Garrett Grant's number 5. Bronson Stafford starts 34th in the number 61.
And going back to the guys who didn't put a time down, it's going to be Aaron Smith in the 72. Alan Belichick next to him in 36 in the 70 machine.
Final row, Jonathan Coxwell and Jeff Ryan. Of course, Beckner will not roll off because of that connection issue he had, so he will start from the tail of the field when and if he's able to get back onto the racetrack. 80 laps this race from flag to flag. Green would take us about 1 hour and 12 minutes of time. We'll see if we can get there without a couple yellows along the way. Jake Nichols is in command. He's won a number of races this season. Count them 6. We'll see if he can get a 7th. Weishart Scioli still chasing their 2nd. Hart's chasing his first win of the season. Beckner would be going for his 2nd. Green flag flies. We're racing at the Tricky Triangle in Pocono, Pennsylvania in the Area Cup Series. Jake Nichols leads the way off into turn number 3 for the first time. Hartz trails him in 2nd, and it's a mad dash behind him for positions 2 and 3 wide for a moment on the opening lap, but out of turn 3, we're going to complete our first lap clean and green.
Yeah, and that was, crazy mad dash. Putting it lightly, I was kind of amazed we didn't get a wreck there, guys. Going 3, almost 4 wide into turn 1. Garrett Grant had a fantastic opening lap. He went from 32nd to 21st in only 1 lap.
Did mention he had a top 5 here in the only cup race that area has been to at the Tricky Triangle, though he's in a tricky situation here. 3 wide, DeLeo on the outside, Yoneshiwu on the inside. Going to continue down this first back straightaway.
Super long straightaways here. Gives you plenty of opportunity to make maneuvers, but that can also cause some checkups and things when people swing from one line to the other. Watch the 41. The 22 is kind of in a bad spot there on the outside lane. Nichols leads by 3/10. Behind Greg Mitchell, though, there's Chris Rabel, Ed Robertson, Matthew Bell, all packed up, and even some more positions trading a little bit deeper in the field. Patterson under fire from Delonte Ballard.
Yeah, some guys up here in the top 10 that would love to get their first win, and they're all really close. Ooh, I think I saw some contact. Someone get into the wall off of turn 3.
That was close there, but yeah, this side-by-side towards the back, especially through the tunnel turn, that's really where I'm starting to sweat beads a little bit. Here it's okay because it's wide enough where you can do it here in turn 1, and there's more banking in this turn than in any other turn on the track.
And the speeds here are just absolutely crazy. How about a little bit of shuffling up here behind 3rd place Rabel, and how about Matthew Bell to the inside? Big dive into the tunnel turn.
Yeah, got a great run out of turn 1, using it into turn 2. Gets 1, almost tries to get 2 with Chris Rabel, and actually he's not going to be able to get that spot from Robertson. You see him, he's going to have to tuck back in behind, work on that again. Looking at the back, James Scioli following him in 7th place.
Rafe Slate and Michael Curran in the back, side by side, right behind Scioli for the 8th position. So they're jockeying for a position down the front stretch.
Slate's got the advantage here down on driver's left into turn number 1. Oh, they're going to touch, banging doors into turn 1. Slate goes for the shallow entry. Curhan carries some speed, and Connor Okrezik's watching all of it from right behind, seeing if he can take advantage of it.
I was going to say, I think he's going to try to see if he can get a great run out of turn 1. Try to chase both of these guys down the straightaway. Is he going to make it 3 wide? He's thinking, going to come back in behind Rafe Slate.
That is the one place you do not want to go 3 wide in the tunnel turn, because the guy on the outside is going to be in the most vulnerable position.
Connor Okrezik's fighting off Alex Weaver, the number 4, who's going to look to the driver's right position here. He's got the 24 ahead of him, and Alex Weaver's not waiting around. Neither is Senesac, who will dive to the inside.
Yeah, these guys are really taking advantage. I think really the place to be, from what it seems, is getting runs out of the corner. You see some more guys shuffling back down the order, some more guys hitting the wall. I saw earlier Dante Ballard hit the wall last time by.
Yeah, right around, I think that was Mark Patterson in the 51 that just made contact with the wall.
Virgil and
Shane
Ryan
Abbey here.
Swan. That was really tight there, Hunter. Sorry, go ahead.
Now, let's say Shane Abbey looking really high there in turn 1. Haven't seen too many cars go up that high, but there is 17 of Michael Sturgill in that beautiful paint scheme, and the 61 of Bronson Stafford.
Wow, big dive. Look at Ballacino. He was going to make it 3 wide there into the tunnel turn. Didn't listen to Hunter's hometown hero track tips a moment ago. We're still going to try it.
Yeah, I was going to try it into turn 3, but I mean, it's much better to do it in turn 3 than turn 2, I can tell you that much, but it's going to be tough to do here. That car on the inside, it seems to be losing so much speed, you're just not getting enough momentum out of the corner. As we got Eric Wineland in the booth with us. Eric, you got a copy?
Hey guys, so just a quick report for you from pit road. No radio, but people already talking about fuel already, including Physicus Motorsports. My best guess as to what was estimated prior to the race starting was somewhere around 30 to 35 laps on a tank of fuel here at Pocono. But there are some grumblings throughout a couple different teams that 40 is not out of the question with some fuel save. So going to be interesting to see how these guys decide to play this. I know it's only lap 6, but they're already talking strategy, whether we decide to 1-stop or 2-stop this race if we happen to go green.
Strategy on the table all night long. And this is one of those places you can save a lot, Finian, because you're just carrying so much momentum. You can let off, you can coast, you can clutch in, you can really do a number of different things, even short shift a little bit. So this is not one of the harder places to save fuel, but I think we're going to see drivers get pretty creative with that throughout the night to save whatever they can. And I never think, if you're comfortable with where you're running, it's never a bad idea just to lift a little early and save some. You always could use a little extra. If nothing else, it'll help shorten the pit stop.
Yeah, especially if it is as close as guys are saying it is. It doesn't hurt, just to let off a little bit early. Maybe you kind of benefit from that. You're not also burning your tires. You're constantly trying to, force your way up through the order, make your way through. That being said, if you're guys that did start further back than you would like, such as Ricky Springer or Garrett Grant, guys who've been moving up pretty well through the order, you're going to want to try to burn up some more fuel, push the envelope a little bit to try to make up some spots.
Curran on the outside, Slate on the inside. This battle is going to continue down the straightaway. And if you're Bryce Senesac, you've got to be wondering when and where you're going to make the move. Also, interesting note, as we're riding in car with Senesac, you'll look at the paint scheme there for Rafe Slate. It's a Ken Block tribute scheme.
Oh, I didn't even notice that until you pointed it out. You're right. Getting squeezed on the inside of the 64. Good looking scheme on the 8, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, if also want to check another Ken Block tribute, one driver's trying to make a pass. Ricky Springer in the 18 machine trying to get around Danny Ware.
I love the execution on this, Finian.
Yeah. Really, really great paint scheme. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get the pass on Danny Ware done. Garrett Brandt, talk about his move up the order, went up almost 10, 11 spots in one lap. Slowed the progress a little bit down, but he's still been making some solid forward progress. Up into 16th at the moment, trying to make it 15th. He dives to the inside into turn 3.
If he keeps his nose clean, I'd keep an eye on Grant to continue to make a push towards the front.
8 laps in to our 80-lap event, so 10% down. It has been all clean and green so far. Lots of aggression and lots of close racing still. Most of the field is within a tenth or 2 tenths of somebody else. Jake Nichols, though, 6 tenths clear of Ryan Hartz. And for third place. A little bit of a scrap here between Rabel and Mitchell, 2 Ford Mustangs going at it.
Yeah, Weaver's got a. Oh, I think he might have missed a shift as well. Really losing a lot of speed down this straightaway as you're looking at Mitchell and Scioli duking it out further up the road. And Scioli's been making some solid forward progress from 9th place all the way up to 5th. Trying to see if he can get around Mitchell. And Mitchell, we got to say, we were talking about last week comparison to New Hampshire, dropped down the order pretty quickly. He's holding his ground pretty well. He only dropped 2 places back to 4th.
Wow, so close to the wall
close.
there, Hunter.
Yeah, Ed Robertson there in the 64. A couple of guys getting close to that wall, but Ed Robertson mentioned they finished 7th here back in season 1. He's running in the 8th spot right now. That'll be under attack from the 8 of Rafe Slate and in the turn.
Ooh, almost went 3 wide there.
Still thinking about it. Slate door-to-door with Ed Robertson. Very tight out of turn 1. And right behind, I think there's David Weishart sneaking into the mix behind that 64, giving him a nice good shove down the straight. Oh, he spins!
Turn off the 8!
Wow, down to the racetrack. And
look out!
And
Wow.
somehow, I think Weishart managed to not hit anything.
he was headed for a wall with quite some speed. Caution out lap 10.
Oh,
And
we have to ride on board with the 33.
I had a heart attack when you guys screamed. Thanks for that.
So I make sure you're on your toes.
Well,
That was mostly Finian.
my audio settings are a little different and a little louder in my ears. And oh, are you kidding me?
Oh,
Wow, that was close.
he got really lucky there.
That bump there at the very end saved the 33. Look at the bump he hits.
Yep. Let's ride on board with him. Maybe right on the nose here. Oh my God, that bump. If that bump wasn't there, it's game over. Then watch the 8 after this. That's just a side draft gone wrong mostly. Oh,
Yeah, I thought
Senesac very lucky there as well.
he was honestly going to end up taking on more guys the way he was coming back up the track. I'm genuinely amazed that both cars ended up saving their equipment there. So we got Eric Wineland. Eric, you got a report for us?
Yeah, so not off to a great start again now that I'm back from illness and other personal matters. I happened to be right with David Weishart Racing when David Weishart went for a spin. Things got very quiet as David got very intense trying to make sure he missed that wall on the inside there close to the entry of turn 2, in which he did, and then said this on the radio after the incident.
I don't know what he was trying to do. He's trying to side drive, but we're on lap 10, man.
Yeah.
There's just no need for that.
So obviously David Weishart very upset with the way the situation was being played out because it was lap 10 of an 80-lap race, still 70 to go, and he felt there was no need. Everybody coming down pit road at me right now, including our leaders, Nichols, Hartz, Rabel, Mitchell. I don't see a single guy staying out here, guys, and it's all going to be 4 tires and fuel. I can almost guarantee it, but I'm going to sit here and watch for you guys just to double check.
thanks, Eric. And yeah, that kind of summarizes what I thought too. I think the 8 was just trying to get a little side draft and just miscalculated the slightest bit. But David did a great job saving it. So did the 8 for that matter. And they will both carry on and continue with a little bit of track position hit for the 33. Cars on pit lane, and Eric's anticipating a whole bunch of 4-tire stops, Eric.
Nope. I think Senesac took 2.
Senesac was in his box for stationary for 1.8 seconds, so I don't think that was planned on his part. I think he may have missed his stall. Everybody else, at least 13 seconds. Best stop actually out of Ryan Hart's 13.9 stationary. The only guy I see on 2 is Jeff Ryan, 7.4 in his stall. He had the shortest time on pit road, and he's now P26. He didn't really gain too much with that strategy, but I expect to see Senesac back down pit road. He may not have had his tires checked. I'm not sure what the case was for the 09.
Yeah, I don't even have him recorded as being in the box at all, so I he might have just missed it.
Yeah, no, he basically got in at a very awkward angle. He just went in way too close to the wall. He tried to reset himself, and then he just said, nah, I'm just going to come back around. So he's going to lose a ton of spots from that. He was running, I think, around 10th place just before that happened. So he's going to go all the way back down to the end of the field. One guy, actually two guys will be very happy to see that caution. Both Chris Seidenfeiden and Beckner. Seidenfeiden was able to kind of catch himself back up to the lead, and Beckner was in danger of actually going 3 laps down. So got one of those laps back, and able to service his car. So he's now 1 lap down, so he should have a much easier time. If we get another caution, should be back on the lead lap.
You beat me to the point, Finney, and I was getting ready to make that point that Travis Beckner just pulled into his pit stall right in front of me. So he was a big beneficiary of that caution. Same with Chris Seidenfaden, who actually said on the radio just before the David Weishart spin, as Bryce Senesac comes back down pit road at me, that Chris was actually catching the pack. He was about 12 seconds off the lead. He was about 5 seconds back from the tail end of the pack. Before the yellow came out, he had that under 5 seconds, somewhere around 4.5. So Chris was making some gains. The guys may have been playing some fuel strategy back there. That's thrown out the window now. It's an easy one stop for the rest of the way. Expect him to pit somewhere around 30 to 35 to go.
Thanks, Eric. As looks like the 09's got his tires, he'll head back out on the racetrack in 36th. As it stands, field is doubling back up here for the restart. First one of the night. Restarts at Pocono were the best, Finian, because you know how wide that front straightaway is? You could fit probably about half the field side by side coming to the start-finish line, and boy, are they going to try it.
Yeah, we saw in the initial start, you guys are making quite a bit of use of that extra racetrack. They were going almost 4 wide into the corner. I'm sure now that we get, now that we have a restart coming up, you guys are going to be a little bit more comfortable. Which could be a very good thing for us watching, very bad thing if you don't like a lot of caution. So we'll see what happens here on this first restart.
It's especially the most interesting whenever someone on the inside line does not go, then everyone's trying to move out of their way and get by them. And when you're at Pocono, you can go about 5 to 6 wide here on the front stretch if you go all the way to the inside wall. So it wouldn't shock me if we go 4 wide. 5 wide would be probably risking it a little too much.
I'd like to say that mathematically you can fit a whole lot more than 6. So we'll see. We'll see what they can do. I bet you could get about 12 or 15, and
oh yeah,
I just don't know how good of a run you got to get that wide. But we're going to try it. Green flag is held in the hands of the starter and going to go waving at lap number 14 of 80. Back underway from the Area Cup Series here at Pocono. Pretty orderly, actually, on the run down to turn number 1. A couple drivers popping out of line. There's some more movement, but for the most part, 2 even rows. Here's a little 3 wide into the first corner.
Ooh, a little bit 4 wide, almost right around there for a second. Alan Ballacino threw it down into the corner. He's going to door the 27. Somehow they don't let Gabriel Ellison in the middle of all that.
Very tight over there. Almost got tight enough a little further up towards the front. Still trying to shuffle things out as they head into the tunnel turn.
So far, so good. The drivers, it took them kind of a half a lap to really get the momentum they needed to build these runs. In the past, you were kind of grip limited at the rear. So getting up to speed, you'd have a lot more drivers struggle with that. Now everyone's so even on pace on the acceleration zone, it takes until the entrance to the tunnel turn to get that 3 and 4 wide we are used to seeing here at Pocono. And now they're giving it a go down the front straight. Big swing to the inside. Is that Tom Bourne in the 16? Indeed it is.
No, indeed it is, and they are 4 wide heading off into turn 1. Someone's going to have to get him here. Ooh,
all right,
smoke
double
well.
zero up high.
Oh, 4 wide in the middle.
Right here.
That ain't going to work, guys. Look out.
Whoa, and towards the inside wall. I think that was Mark Patterson.
Oh, 61, spinning towards the track. Bronson Stafford causes a wreck, caution out. Was not expecting where I would see that caution come out.
Nope.
More trouble, guys. The 27 spun. Turn 2.
Guys, caution's out.
Yeah, that was on the checkup, I think. We'll have to go back and check that out separately. But first of all, let's go back and see what turned around the 61. Oh, he was on the bumps. Oh, man.
Yeah, then right in front of Mark Patterson. Another thing I don't like about the repave, you got all those bumps down there towards the inside wall. Helped out for David Weishart heading in the tunnel turn, but right here, no good for Bronson Stafford. And the car just kind of loses control and nowhere for Mark Patterson to go.
Well, it's been a while since Jonathan Cogswell had to miss a crash by 3 inches. But here's what he saw.
Oh, you can make an entire reel out of the amount of wrecks Cogswell's missed this season. He's had way too much fun missing wrecks. And here's the second part of that. This was correct, as you mentioned, on the checkup. 27 Allison getting the worst end of that.
Yeah, it was Ryan Swan in 19 there. He was in the middle of that 4 wide pickle. Caution's out by this point, and then just, well, he hits the double zero Danny Ware first, then gets it from behind.
all that was a big mess. Here's what it looked like from both turn 2 cameras. There's a crash on the back straightaway. Then entering 3, they go 4 wide there. Palacino on the bottom, and then the 0-0 up the track, and mess carries on from there.
I want to point out, in that tunnel turn, if you're behind it, like behind those billboards, you cannot see a thing. It is like a literal mountain to go up there. I had to go over and get the pit credentials to get inside the track, and it's over by the tunnel turn. That thing it looked like it was 100 feet tall. It's a literal mountain in that tunnel turn area, so it's quite the sight to see.
I have been to Pocono one time. It was in February, off season, and I was just shocked at the scale of this place. We were able to kind of see one of the back straightaway walls. It might have been one of the corners. I couldn't really tell because the corner radii are so huge. This place is a monolithic racetrack. I don't know if this shot gives you an idea of the scale, but gosh, it doesn't
even fit in the shot. The whole track.
It does. You need to get some NASA photos to get that in one go, but it really is. I mean, these kind of tight cut shots don't really do it justice, but man, up high, it really gives you the sense that this is an enormous facility.
Yeah, it is. It is a big boy. That's to be sure.
Eric Weiland, there was some dramas there on the restart. What we got for us?
Yeah, so it took me the entire time of trying to figure out what the heck happened on the restart. So Ryan Hartz picked up a black flag for restart violation there, but they reviewed it, and I was even confused sitting there watching it. He picked up a restart violation for maybe being a mile an hour at most faster than Jake Nichols when the green dropped. He was like back at his tail bumper, and they were both about 75, 76 miles an hour. So I'm not sure why it handed it out, but race control rightfully cleared that one for the 3. Meanwhile, on pit road 45, Chris Seidenfon just get a little bit more fuel, make his stop a little bit shorter if necessary. That's pretty much the only real stop I see here on pit road. Everyone else choosing to stay out under this yellow.
Travis Beckner, I can't pull up graphics for him because he wasn't in here when the server started, and that's a bug, but started dead last because he had an internet connectivity issue, was 2 laps down, 2 cautions in. He's got his laps back, Finian, so he's back on the lead lap, now scored 34th.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure he's glad that happened very quickly. We were talking about just on the last caution that he needed one more to get himself back in the competition. Here he is. Now can finally kind of get his race started, although he's got 63 laps left instead of 80. So we'll see what he can do. He's got a long way to go.
Indeed he does. And looking back at the first Pocono race, we had 4 leaders, 7 lead changes, and 0 cautions. So we're already at 2 in today's race. And looking back at season 3 as a whole, we're averaging 6 leaders, 11 lead changes, and 7 yellows for 29 laps. So we're getting up there with the cautions. We'd like to see them get up there with the leaders and lead changes.
We have 1 leader, no lead changes so far. The only leader of this race has been Jake Nichols in that Solar Flare Racing number 91. His season, again, has been just absolutely rock solid, Hunter, and been tough to dethrone him. 6 wins out of the 10 races that we've run so far. And looking like right now he might be the shoe-in for a 7th if no one else can get by him here on one of these restarts.
Yeah, I was going to say, every time... Oh, sorry, Hunter, go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, I'd say so too. And well, numbers don't lie, but stats don't lie either. Looking back at it, the race after Jake Nichols loses, he wins. So he won after Daytona, which was won by Beckner, won after Iowa, won by Scioli, won after Atlanta, won by Ricky Springer, and then last week, David Weishart won at New Hampshire.
So we're due, is what you're saying.
Yep, we sure are.
We're due a lot, it seems.
Yeah, no, I mean, just every single restart, the start and the restart we had, he just took off. Hasn't really been even close. Hartz and Mitchell just not been able to catch up to him. So unless he makes a mistake, which is definitely possible, because we did see that have that restart violation a little while ago. So we saw him end up. That's really what it takes, is really to give this man a black flag. We'll see. Race is still young. A lot of things can happen.
So, field is stacking up and racking up here for another restart. Lap number 19 of 80 as we close in on the 1/4 mark of this race. Nichols has led every lap so far. Hartz to his outside. Going to try to give him a run for the money. Big stack up in that outside lane. Green flag. We're back underway from Pocono.
Not really sure what was going on. Jake Nichols was a whole car length in front of Hartz even before they got to the restart zone. So that's a questionable restart there.
Yeah, I don't know if he's trying to be extra careful this time to make sure he doesn't get any
Oh!
sort of penalty. Whoa.
Someone was really loose right behind
still
Michael
loose.
Kern. Or it might have been Michael Kern, actually.
There's so many cars in one shot, it's hard to pick out which one's doing what. They're all sideways, they're all crashing, they're all 6 wide, it feels like, every moment. Oh, there's a little touch there. The 9 and the 29 get together.
Everyone playing hardball here, trying to gain as many spots as possible, especially in the opening laps. Especially Alan Valentino. Every time we've seen that 70 car, he absolutely sends a Hail Mary on these opening laps. It almost looks like he's about to take out 2 or 3 cars doing so. He's been trying to make up progress from qualifying so bad, and he's made up pretty good progress. Started in 36 up to 18 so
they
far.
got really tight coming out of turn 3 there, right behind him. In a 3-wide situation there, but Valentino cutting the field in half, at least his march towards the front in half. Started 36 up to 18th, and he's still taking names 10 in the 1.
And nerve-wracking here. Everyone's realizing how challenging it is to get track position after a restart. Everyone spreads out. So this is what we typically see is the first run, everyone's typically okay with kind of riding and biding their time a little bit. Once they realize, hey, it's hard to pass, next opportunity you get, you're going to get real sendy because you realize how challenging it is to run people back down after they get spread back out.
Looking at the 3 and 24 side by side, Hartz versus Curran. Hartz on the top side looks like he's going to get that run, use that run into turn 3 to try to get clear of Curran, making that charge. Riding the yellow line. This is a great race from the 24. I think it's been a while since we've seen him up this far up inside the top 5.
Wow, Scioli, and he's hitting pit lane. The number 7 is.
Is that a strategy call, Eric? I don't know if he's in here.
No, he's
but
not.
Black
he
flag.
just stopped.
Oh, black flag, and that's it. He's out.
Huh.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's for. I'm sure Eric will do his homework to try to get that information for us.
Oh, look at this. Almost trouble out of turn 1. The 19 bouncing off the wall once, twice, thrice. Almost got into the side of the 17 car. I think they did touch once, but that was about as minimal as that incident was going to get. It is getting very racy out here. There's a lot of people leaning on each other, and the 71 took a big sideways spill there for a moment.
Yeah, new bigging there's dirt tracking it off the tunnel turn.
Well, they covered it in pavement, so the fact that we're that sideways is concerning. Couple cars side and fight bounced off the wall there, Finian.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone's starting to get really aggressive as the race is, I would say, winding down. We're only a quarter of the way into this race. There's still got a ways to go. These guys are driving like it's 20 laps to go. Completely going at it. Some guys making their way up through the order. Krezek getting the apron a little bit, lose a lot of momentum. Bell with a great run on, going to get past 14. Try to work on the 24 now.
Weiland's back. Weiland, do you have an update?
Yeah, so a couple things going on right now. James Scioli just decided that was the end of his night. He was not having a good time. He's already well solid in the points, and I think already with a win as well. So I decided the draft block racing that we're seeing currently is not a good time for him and decided to call it a night. Other note, Ryan Hartz picked up another black flag on the restart. It appears the restart zones are currently bugged, which was something that was potentially found after today's iRacing patch, and we unfortunately have pretty much confirmed it because Ryan was even further back from Jake when he picked up this black flag, and he was not over Jake's speed. So the race control has been informed. They're going to be calling it as NASCAR would call it on any given Sunday. So expect some better restarts now that they've confirmed a bug, and we'll just deal with it.
So
clearing blacks.
So does that mean they're going to bend the rules?
That's what I was going to say. I mean, and there's, I think there's some merit to that, right? Because we had this automated system that you absolutely could not get away with anything. It was a computer making the ruling. Now you have a human making that decision. If I'm safe in the playoffs, I'm absolutely going to make a steward make that decision tonight. Why not? Give it a go.
Hey, it's Jake Nichols out front, and these guys are behind him, and Jake's won, 6 races this year? I'm going to push the envelope.
Absolutely.
I want to get ahead of the guy.
So 24 laps in. Thanks for the update, Eric. That was a good one with lots of info. Here's Okrezek and Grant side by side for 7th, and I wanted to take a note about Greg Mitchell. Remember, he started on the front row, dropped back in that first run, Finian. Here he is, and he's actually keeping Nichols in the crosshairs here this time.
I was going to say, this is a really, really good run for the 2 machine. You know, definitely in the conversation of drivers that can win this race. Qualified really well, did not drop off like we saw at New Hampshire as the caution is out.
Big one, back straightaway,
whoa.
and it's everybody in it, looks like.
And that's coming out of the tunnel turn, so someone must have gotten into that wall, bounced right back into the traffic.
Holy cow.
It's going to be a big one to unpack.
Oh! And DeLeo just hit his teammate.
Oh, boy.
Tried to turn himself around, and he just turned the 51 around.
Well, we're going to need to slow this one down a little bit, I think. Okay,
Good
well,
thing base laps are long, right?
I found it. There it is.
Wow, were they 4 wide?
Well, they
It
were.
almost looked like they were 4 wide when the wreck started, at least 3 wide.
They were enough wide. Let's have a look. Here's the 5 and the 14 right there on
never mind.
entry. That's what starts this. And then they become 4 wide, I think, right here.
Oh, yeah.
1, 2, 3.
Almost 4 wide.
There we go.
They're 3 wide
now they're
behind.
4.
5 wide.
Oh, look at Weissart in the 33. Oh, just got through it.
Just a tap.
Here's what this looks like at full speed. This is going to hurt. Oh, man, the 22 got absolutely drilled by the 71. Have to look at this from a handful of different angles. There's just so much going on.
Yeah, everyone just piling in. And this is part of the thing where we talk about the tunnel turn. Everyone comes in around the same place, and they come off the corner around the same place in the same part of the line. So it's tough to avoid a wreck, especially just as it starts happening. And in such close quarters, you see everyone just kind of coming into the same spot of racetrack.
Yeah, I'd say even side by side was pushing the envelope in the tunnel turn, let alone 3 wide. But gotta look at the 5 of Grant and just send it on the inside a little too much, and that's all it takes. And then right here, nowhere to go for Shane Abbey, Alex Weaver, and others.
Here's where the 71 gets tagged off the nose of the 12. And then the 18, I think, also had an unfortunate view of this.
Yeah, not what he needed. Oh, man.
The
Got
22
hit several times.
got absolutely obliterated in the driver door. Watch this from above here as DeLeo gets stacked in by the 45. And then watch the 71 right there. Tags him in the quarter panel and just whips that around. Eric, that was a big mess out of the tunnel turn.
Yeah, it was. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not sure where it's picking that audio up from. Yeah, just a mess right there off of turn 2. Top 16 stayed out, 17th on down for 4 tires and fuel, and probably some damage repair. Chambliss has 2 tires, actually, as he rolls off of pit road in 17th. Let's see here. Danny Ware involved in the incident, or no, just skated through the incident, excuse me. Listen into this radio from the, let's see, that's the Sky Motorsports team.
All the stuff's still on it, yeah, so someone else is broke. The nose is pushed in like a foot.
Oh, I still got full RPM, so maybe.
Yeah, it's suspension. It's probably a toe link.
I saw a gap and I floored it.
Yeah, you made it through. Yeah, you were zooming.
So that was Bronson Stafford, Tom Bourne, and Danny Ware all commenting on the incident. Tom ended up with a meatball flag that he is currently repairing. And as Bronson said, his nose is pushed in about a foot, but he had all of his RPM. So it's definitely suspension damage for the 16. So they're going to probably have to replace a toe link. They're just going to set him down a couple laps here. But he will try to get back out there with at least a full running motor, maybe not the best aerodynamic car. But he is pretty much the only one still sitting on pit road getting damaged repair, as well as I think this is Cosman still sitting on pit road. No, it's not Cosman. There is another Simrap market car still sitting on pit road as well. Oh, no, that is
looking
Tom
right
Bourne.
at it. It is Tom Bourne.
That's him. So thanks, Eric. Big crash there. 3rd caution of the night. And doubling back up here for the restart. It will restart at lap number 28. And Nichols and Mitchell will start on the front row. And Ryan Hartz might have another opportunity here, Finian, to jump up around this 91. Again, trailing him as he did on the opening stint.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, because I got kind of cut off there when I was talking about Greg Mitchell, when that wreck happened, his highest finish, Greg Mitchell, before this race, 12th place at Daytona, has not finished higher since then. He's currently sitting 14th in the points, just outside the cutoff. And a lot of his competitors just got taken out. Guys like Ricky Springer, Tom Bourne. So he's looking at a chance to make up some good points, especially can hold on to that second place. Now I'm curious to see, is he going to push the envelope, try to get that win and lock himself in? Or will he just settle for the classic age-old good points day?
Well, if you're in his position, I think you just need a good points day, so that way you don't put yourself in a position at Talladega to come away with either a win or a good points day, because that we all know what happens at Talladega. Although it has happened in the past where last season Jordan Martin entered 19th in points, won Talladega, and was able to have a run at the championship in the playoffs. But we'll see next week what that says with some of these drivers. Until then, we'll have to look at this restart because, as mentioned, they're going to call it like they do every Sunday in NASCAR. So that means they're going to bend the rules a little bit with this restart issue bug that they're having on iRacing. So we'll see if the 2 of Greg Mitchell pushes the envelope.
We'll see. I mean, he's in a position that I don't think he can be as risky as someone else. But there's not really a lot of race winners up in near the front here. Restart, not a very good one for the outside lane. Back underway from Pocono. And yes, it was a little lazy on the outside row, and they're stacked up as they head down to turn 1, Phinia.
Yeah, just a really poor restart for Mitchell. Not sure if he's trying to be cautious and see if he can avoid any penalty, or not realizing that that was not being penalized, but he just did not get a good restart. He's going to drop immediately back to 4th. It's for 3 wide in the middle of the field, rocketing off turn 2.
Yeah, Andrew Player right in the middle of that. Nowhere to go for him. Seems like the inside lane's got everything sorted out. Ryan Hart's massive run to the bumper. Jake Nichols.
Guys,
will he send it to the inside?
Alan Palacino is just loving these restarts. 36 to 8th and continues to climb on these restarts. He is absolutely flying this 70 car. Let me tell you, if he continues to climb like this, he might be a factor at the end of this thing.
Oh, absolutely. Think so indeed. And talk about a guy that needs some points. Currently sitting 24th in the points. Doesn't have a win to his name, but honestly, if he's driving like this, might have a win tonight. If he can get himself further up there, he's done a great job so far. Looking up for the lead, side by side. Ryan Hart's, Jake Nichols. Hart's going to lead into turn 1.
Well, Bell's going to give a momentum push to the 91 of Nichols to the outside. They are door to door, almost dead even, heading through turn 1, coming down the front. First back straightaway here. Nichols going to have the edge for the moment. Here comes Matthew Bell. Massive run for the moment.
Hart's trying to get a side draft back to the quarter panel. That was the best run anybody has had on the 91 car so far tonight, but he wasn't able to do it. Now he's giving up time to the 9 of Matthew Bell, who's right on the tailpipes, giving the 3 a shove. They have to work together to take down this 91, but into turn 3, it's not going to do him a lot of good. He needs that right here on the front straightaway.
I think I can bet you that working together is probably the last thing on these guys' mind. They want every position they can get, and I'm sure Bell's going to try to get around Hart's as soon as he can. He's got a decent run here on the front straightaway, heading off to turn 1. Doesn't look like he's peeling off. He's going to sit back in behind. See the first few rows of cars, all single file, and then I think, is that Travis Beckner up near the order? It is. He's in 12th. Wow.
Beckner and Cogswell are door to door, and that's a pattern that you're going to see tonight. Down the straightaways, it's where you're going to see the drivers have the most momentum coming off the corners, and the more you go side by side, the more you lose ground to the car in front of you, like we're seeing right here with Beckner and Cogswell, Brandt and Aaron Smith behind as well. You don't want to be side by side for too long because then you lose the draft to the car in front of you.
Travis Beckner was like 34th 10 laps ago.
Whoa. They are almost touching right behind them with David Weishart caught up in that with Brian Chambliss.
Car 45 spins.
Go. Tyler Nichols around. They scatter across the front stretch. Shane Abbey into the inside wall. They are still hitting. Caution flag back out.
4th caution of the night. It was the 45 off the wall into the 41 that kicked off the beginning of that. So Tyler Nichols is the one that got the short end of the stick there. We're going to go back a little further to catch the genesis of that. And watch the 45.
Yeah, started just where it was running really high, and that's already tough coming off the corner. Hits the wall, clips the 41. Nothing he could have done. And then 12, Shane Abbey also victim. Oh, that actually, I thought someone clipped him there at the end. Somehow managed to avoid getting hit.
Nope, that happened a few hundred feet further back. We would have seen another Jeb Burton and flip down the front stretch. Saw that in person, too. That was crazy.
That Andrew Player that just slid by there in the 13? It was.
There are a couple of them.
Jacob Bell gave Andrew Player all the room that he could. He was right against that inside wall. Wow. Looked like Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson there for a second, and woo,
Yeah, right there. That looked eerily similar to the Xfinity race back in July. Car spin towards the inside. Well, fortunate that no one got clipped in that.
and then right here at the very end of this, I think that's Okrezik bouncing off the wall as the fourth caution of the night is out. We're slowed down again. Guys, we're starting to see a little bit of weakness maybe in that 91. Hart's had a real good run, but how do you make that pass on the bottom? It just seems so challenging to complete that with that run on the outside.
I think what it's going to take is a lot of setup. I think you need to plan your corners out and just try to build up a solid run out of either turn 1, turn 2, most likely out of turn 1, and just get a really good run on the straightaway. Use some slipstream and then try to get to that inside, or force the try to fake the 91 and make him go low. Although it's just kind of hard because it is so tough to pass here up near the front. Back down the pack, I think with the little bit of dirty air, these guys can't really get that much of a run. But clean air in the front, that 91, it's tough. It's really tough.
Well, I thought you were going to say when you said force and forcing the guy out of the way, that's the only other reasonable explanation that you can have for trying to pass someone for the lead.
Yeah.
But you don't want to do it this early on. I mean, we're about to clip halfway, and especially if you race someone dirty by leaning on their door, moving them out of the way now, they get back up to you later in the race, they will have no hesitation to move you out of the way.
Here's something to consider, that it's hard to get back to people. So if you've got, I'm just saying, if you've got a beef, you might as well, rub a little fender because they might not be able to get back to you. Back down on pit lane, Eric Weinland.
So we got some cars deciding to come down pit road. I've got the back half of the field and 23rd on back coming down and choosing the 4 tires. Chris Seidenfaden just missed his pit stall right in front of me. So we saw Garrett Grant move forward with his tires up to 12th now for the 5 car. So making a little bit of headway. The top 16 had stayed out before, so he gained a couple spots, but I don't know if there's enough of a tire difference, guys, that it's really going to matter for them. Especially since they do have to make one more stop. Meanwhile, I do have some radio for you, and for our listeners at home, if we have some little ones, make sure we plug their ears, because this wreck involved Tyler Nichols. And if Tyler Nichols is known for anything, he is the one that likes to drop the 4-letter words the most, especially of all the teams and the drivers that I listen to from Solar Flare Racing. Here is their radio on the incident.
He got right hooked into the wall.
I knew that was coming because he fucking drove so high.
And then this was Delonte Ballard and Jake Nichols talking strategy and whether or not to pit under this yellow.
Right rear might be some damage, but
what are you doing here, Jake?
I didn't get hit, so.
I don't think I'm gonna pit. We're not in the window, so.
So you say you're not?
No, I don't think we're not in the window. I just don't think it's worth it.
So some debate there on the Solar Flare radio in the background while TK was very upset with the Chris Seidenfaden machine after Chris bounced off the wall way high there in turn 3. I think, guys, TK is on for the most 4-letter words used on the broadcast for sure, but maybe in the league all year.
Well, I thought 4-letter word was darn. I'm just kidding. Yeah, that was a frustrating. It's a frustrating scenario, obviously. Coming off the corner and you just get obliterated like that. It's not like the 45 meant to do that, but the impact is so hard that you were just, you've got to be mad. If you're not mad after that, I don't know what you're mad about. But for Tyler Nichols, I understand the frustration there. But we'll see if he can carry on. It might have some damage, but these cars are, in the real world, pretty tanky, so he should be able to carry on without. Oh, you see, just the tiniest little bit of damage there on the left rear quarter panel.
You can buff it out.
Well, if there's anyone that can give Tyler Nichols the money on the most 4-letter words being said, it's Garrett Grant in the 5. There's no question there. He has got a sailor's mouth, but he's also got a pretty nice car. Stumbled around, I'd say, where is he? 11th, 12th? Right around where Travis Beckner is. 12th, right there. If he keeps this run going, he should be in a solid position finishing-wise. But this guy right here, you mentioned it on the last restart, Kyle. He loves restarts. Up from 36th inside the top 10 at the 8th position. He's going to be on the outside, though, so that'll be challenging because, as we've seen the outside lane does not go, not only because the restart zone and the glitch that it has, but because it's Jake Nichols. And you never know when he's going to go.
He has just been absolutely sailing on these restarts. And at some point, he's going to run into, the positions will get harder to grab. He'll run into kind of that proverbial wall. And so far tonight, it's been the 91. Hartz and Mitchell have been kind of taking thumbtacks and poking holes in the defense, but it's going to take a lot more than that to get through Jake Nichols and Solar Flare Racing. Lap 35 will be the restart after our 4th caution of the night. 34 of 80, and green flag back in the air. Newbegin pulls off the pit lane in the background. We're back underway from the Pocono, the tricky triangle.
Oh, and they're bumping on each other, and they're already through before they head to the corner. They were ready to go in the back of the field, and now they're heading 4 wide into turn 1. This can't work.
Close. Well, they're going to try and make it fit.
Famous last words. Watch the squeeze. And the problem is this is like what happens at Daytona and Talladega between turn 1 and the tunnel turn, is you get so much side-to-side movement and jostling. And that can sometimes trigger crashes that happen even further down here at the tunnel turn because it narrows back out. So you do all that side-by-side shuffling, and then you get to the tunnel turn and have to sort it all out.
Yeah, I was going to say, they all jumped on the brakes when they got to the tunnel turn there. Some guys almost got rear-ended. Looking out.
Look out. Oh, my goodness. Someone's trying to be like Kyle Larson.
Jeff Ryan got a bump from the 26 at Cogswell. Held on to it, but out of turn 3.
Oh, Ed Robertson took a huge amount of wall off of turn 3.
Yeah, he got close earlier on. It caught up to him now.
Matthew Bell up to 2nd place. Trying to run that 91 down. Chris Rabel to 3rd. Hartz down to 4th. And the 2 of Greg Mitchell. Disastrous restart. Ends up 6th after all that shuffling.
Yeah, it's going to be hard for him to try to move back up. We've seen passing be a little bit difficult up in the higher position. It happens. It's going to take a lot of work, though. See that 2's up for it. If he can try to get himself back up inside, back up to 2nd place. Looking a little further back, Chris Seiden fighting in the middle of all of this. He's been involved in a wreck or 2 tonight.
Want to keep that nose clean for the rest of the race. Got over 40 laps left to do so. And here's David Weishart in the 33, still trying to climb back towards the front after his spin earlier on. He is currently in a battle with Dwayne Culberson for that 15th spot. Alex Weaver right behind, giving them the momentum that he needs.
Yeah, he voiced his opinion on the radio just a lap ago, using a little bit of colorful language because he's a bit frustrated. I think after that spin, he's mired in the middle of the pack, couldn't really go anywhere. Looking at Garrett Grant, he's starting to go some places, still further up the order after he pit for tires, trying to work on the 17 Michael Sturgill, in the 17 and 11th place. Couldn't quite get the pass done.
Trying. Got a nose there to the inside. Danny Ware almost getting hit from behind by Ryan Swan. Those two have had a run-in before in this race. Checking up for the caution coming out. One of them, at least. Now Ware looking to the outside of Sturgill.
Out of turn 3 here. If that run will work. Doesn't seem to be as big of a deal in turn 3. Just not as much banking to lean on. Alex Weaver, though. Big run here. He's going to give a shot to the back of the 33. But Weishart seems like he's struggling just a little bit with straightaway speed. Until right there, he picks it up at the end of the straight. Looks to the inside of the 19 of Swan, who's up the racetrack 2 or 3 lanes, still trying to get around that 0-0.
Yeah, and tight quarters off of turn 1 as well. Weishart still just trying to find some sort of place to go. Can't quite make a move. Oh, and I think Travis Becker, got onto the wall and entering.
Yep, he sure did. That abrasive move that he just had. And talking about restarts, Valentino not going the direction he wants to. I think someone might have tapped the wall again there. Either Danny Ware, the 19, and Swan. Valentino's fallen all the way from 8th to 13th, and he's still fighting, trying to suffice the damage that is there.
Yeah, it's the first time he's lost positions all night long. And we've never really seen him on defense like this. He's going to try to slot in. No, he can't. Here comes the 4 of Weaver to the outside. And here comes the 19 of Swan. Dive on the 28 into turn 1.
Gonna throw it on down there. Thing is, can he keep the car down there and get enough of a run off the corner? That's really the big thing, especially down these long front straightaways. And you're gonna see right here, down the straightaway, there's a 28, there goes a 33. Can he slot himself in? No, here comes the 4 of Alex Weaver.
Oh, he did.
Oh, slammed the door
himself
shut.
in there, yep.
Yeah, you can force your way there. It might not work half the time, but that other half it did for Swan. A little further back here, Dwayne Culberson's got a group of drivers that are trying to get around him. Robertson all over his bumper, and Sturgill in the 17 trying to find a way to the inside of Culberson, but with the momentum push on the outside, it's kind of tough to do that.
Whoa! We're not done yet.
Oh,
watch that quarter panel, guys. That was a good lap for Jake Nichols, by the way. Gained a couple tenths of a second. Matthew Bella was within about 1/10, and then that lap, Nichols stretched it to almost 4/10. So there's where the lead is. It's not as big as it was the first run of the day, but that 91 is still the car to beat. Still some scrapping and shuffling in the background. Here's Cosmin Yoneshiwu. He started pretty deep in the field, too, 31st. Guys, we've had a lot of comers and goers in this race. Not from run to run, but from the beginning to now. Lots of drivers that started up front running way back, and lots of drivers that are running way back that are now up front.
Yeah, and even in that camera shot just there, Delonte Ballard started in 23rd. It's up to 7th place. Yoneshiwu from 31st up to 8th. Garrett Grant 33rd to 9th. So all three of those guys have made their way through the field, and they're still on the up and up.
Yeah, Delonte, a really solid run there, and got a car bouncing off the wall there. That was Culberson. But yeah, really solid run there for all three of those guys, especially Delonte, needing every bit of position that he can before heading into Talladega.
We'll note that some of the drivers that gained a whole bunch of ground have fallen back. You mentioned Ellen Ballacino, but Travis Beckner has also had a slightly rearward slide on this latest run. Keep trying to pull up a graphic for him, but I'll never
the
be
invisible
able to.
man.
Yep.
They're looking here, Danny Ware, Cosmin Yoneshiwu, and Delonte Ballard looking to the outside on the exit of... sorry, that's not...
Grant on Ballard.
Getting past Grant on Ballard, thank you.
Boy, that was a mess.
Yeah, that was a bit of a
Pass
bit
on
of a
the
sentence there. Yeah, we'll see in turn 3, but Ballard going to ride the inside, Grant on the outside. Actually going to make it work. That was a bit risky, but managed to pull it off.
Yeah, the outside lane always has the run here coming out of the turn, no matter where you are. Take a look at a replay here.
It just gets to the quarter panel right here.
Ooh.
And was able to carry the speed there on that Simrat Market replay. So well done. But definitely a risky move as Finian presented there, Hunter. But if you can get it done, you'll be all right. Why are you laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at myself.
Okay.
It's getting tongue-tied.
Tongue-tied. That's something different, folks. That's another PG-18.
It's past my bedtime.
It certainly is. Hunter,
It's
save
past
us.
all of our bedtimes,
Yeah,
too.
there you go.
Well, coming back up towards the front, you got Jake Nichols still dominating, and then Matthew Bell, Chris Rabel trying to get something together. They really can't do anything unless, well, scratch that. They're actually going to go door-to-door for the second spot. I was going to say, if Rabel can complete the pass here, this is going to help him big time, but like I said, the more they stay side by side, the more they're going to allow the 91 to get away with it.
Yeah, Nichols loving watching these two. I thought they were going to sort it out and Bell would fall in line, but not the case.
Nope.
They're going to come side by side out of 2, and that's going to cost them a couple. Oh, I think that, but Bell carried a lot of speed on that high lane and will carry on into turn number 2.
No, it actually is going to get the pass done in turn number 2, so gets that spot. I was going to say, Rabel's been pretty quiet. I haven't talked a whole lot about him. He's just been sitting right inside the top 5. Now starting to make some noise as he just got past the 9 of Bell. Now can he be the one to attack the 91 of Nichols, who's been pretty much untouched the entire night?
I think they can, because look at who it just brought up to the part. Well, now they're going to go side by side, but them going side by side down that one straightaway alone brought Hartz, Curran, Mitchell, and Grant all into the mix as well. But now they're going to go side by side for third. Not what Rabel wants to see, because he would have actually had some help had they stayed single file.
Big push up there in the middle of the corner. And Michael Curhan has made another appearance back up inside the top 10.
Just look and see how much they gain, especially in that backpack there. Grant and Curran are door-to-door. Watch how close Delonte gets to him, especially with how high these guys are running. Look at how much ground that Delonte's going to make.
Just going to note that Curran has actually been struggling a little bit. He was in 5th a few laps ago. He's dropped back to 7th. Garrett Grant moving up into 6th, with Mitchell reclaiming 5th place.
Everything's
Oh,
starting
Michael
to...
Sturgill calling out on the chat that he is coming to the pits.
Oh, no, there he is. Pulling off in the pit road right there.
Down on pit lane, and wonder if this is in the window, but I don't know. I'd be waiting for a yellow, guys. There's still enough volatility in this race that I wouldn't be committing to anything yet. But maybe you don't go a lap down here, though, on a green flag stop, Hunter, so maybe he's...
Nope.
You do?
No, I don't think you go a lap down.
Oh, good.
This track is 2.5 miles in length, the same as Daytona, a little less than Talladega. It's one of the few tracks where you can pit under green flag conditions, depending on where you're at on the racetrack, where you can pit and not lose a lap.
Yeah,
so see, he's about to come out of pit. It's going to be close, but he won't lose a lap here.
So in that case, what could happen is if we do get a yellow, he would just stay out and take the lead. So I don't hate it that much.
Yeah.
Eric, what you got? You got anything on the 17 for us?
Scheduled pit stop for car 17. This is a strategy call. The window just opened to make it to the end of the race. We are 35 laps to go as these guys cross the line here in front of me. So checked in with the IRLC Motorsports Group Lucky Duck Motorsports with Michael Sturgill, and he said, "Yep, that's scheduled. He's trying something." And I told him I very much appreciate his aggressiveness on the strategy call. And as you guys said, not a lap down. So if it cycles because of a yellow here in the next 5 laps, he cycles himself right to the lead.
Well, I like it. I like it, guys. I didn't like it at first, but now I like it because we're going to have another yellow. So it's going to cycle around. Now, the question is how recent will that be? Tires don't seem to be a huge deal tonight. So, if we go another 20 laps, maybe you'd want to consider coming back down. But for Sturgill, he's locked himself in here. He's got Delonte Ballard and Danny Ware having a little scrap here out of turn 3 and onto the front stretch.
Yeah,
everyone has to make one more stop. So regardless, they got to get it in at some point.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm a bit surprised we didn't see anyone else besides the 17 come on down. I would expect to see, another driver or two come on down and get that stop in early. But no, as I say that, here comes Chris Seidenfein a little bit further down the order, but coming in to make his potential final stop of the race. Oh, and he overshot a stall.
Yep.
This one is right in front of me, and yes, he did. He missed his pit stall once again. That's number 2 for the night for Chris Seidenfein. 1 under yellow, 1 now under green. Right side's up and down. They're coming around to the left. He's going to get all 4. And I didn't catch where he was running before he came down pit road, but he is waiting on fuel. And I think he shut it off.
Interesting.
Yeah, the motor has shut off, so Chris may have just chosen to retire tonight.
For the lead, here comes Rabel. Sorry, we got a battle going on for the top spot for the first time for real. Rabel might be able to get this done. He initiated this right at the start-finish line, so if he can clear the 91 mid-corner, he might have it here, but look at Nichols now powering back around the outside, Finian.
Oh, you can bet that Nichols is going to fight this hard on that outside. Got a great run off of turn 1. 29 made the attempt, couldn't quite get it done, couldn't quite execute on it, but that was a fantastic move. He's been closing in on that 91, and now here comes the 9 to Matthew Bell. Rabel tries to pull out a line just a little bit to block him into turn 2.
And that momentum kept the 29 on the bumper of Jake Nichols, and well, we'll have to see what the 91 does now and what the rest of the field does. That time by, we saw the 33 in the background. Weishart come down pit road to make his pit stop.
Nichols had to lift just a little bit there, right towards the tail exit of the corner, and you see Rabel building that run now with the slipstream as well. So, again, Rabel, he can't go to the inside here. I think you have to either have a huge run to the inside or try something else somewhere else. But here comes Grant to the inside of Hartz, making a similar swipe here for P4.
I'm really kind of surprised, honestly, that none of the guys in the top 5, top 10 have decided to come on. As you see, very close quarters off of turn 1 between Grant and Hartz, almost putting both those cars on the wall.
Grant trying to get every position he can, and remember, he's outside the cutoff, and every position is a point. And he's still trying to get past the 3. They're going to lean on each other here, coming out of the tunnel turn. The Greg Mitchell to the inside, to the outside. Here's Shiwu. Actually, that's Curran. My apologies. Curran made contact there with the wall and with Grant, so that's going to get things out of line there for those guys.
Well, I am not sure that everyone's going to love this. The 3 is just making, or the 5 rather, making that car very wide. Took a check to the right, and then a check back to the left to try to side draft the 2 out of it. But he'll bail out. Here's Ballacino down on pit lane.
Yeah, not too surprised with the way he's been driving. I'm sure he definitely burnt up those Goodyears pretty quickly. Down to get service for the number 70 machine. We'll see if he can make good use of those tires too. Get him back out there. That's why I'm a bit surprised to not see any of the guys up there, try to just undercut the 91. I know we said the tires don't really matter a huge amount, but just to get yourself some clean air, maybe just, put your being able to just get out there on the track, put some solid laps down, maybe try to get past the 91, because it's hard to pass him on the track, it seems. Actually, say that 91 got a poor run out of turn 2. Here comes Rabel into turn 3 to the inside.
Rabel got close there coming out of turn 1. Now he's next to Jake Nichols coming out of turn 3. Going to lean on him a little bit. They're going to be side by side down the front stretch for the lead. Nichols swipes down. He continues to lead. And now Matthew Bell going to give a push to Rabel down the straightaway and heading into turn.
Yeah, but where do you go with it? Rabel's got a huge run coming right to the rear bumper of the 91, but he can't do anything with it. Now he's in that arrow wash. Nichols slowing down the center of the corner just a little bit, throttling back up for the exit, but Rabel is there. He just can't do anything with it.
They actually had an okay run out of the corner. I thought he was going to wash up a little bit more. Now it's in the slipstream of the 91. I don't think he got quite enough of a run to make a move. He's going to get close, but no cigar as he sits in behind in turn 2. Look, it's a great run, though, off of turn 2, though, and turn 3 again.
Oh, going to give him a bump.
Maybe trying to overspeed him off into turn 3 and hope that he can capitalize on it. Build a run for corner exit. Got to try something different. But Nichols gets through 3 very well that time.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the man can handle a little bit of a bump over speed. Ooh, as you see the 9 and the 3. This is kind of what I was hoping for, some strategy from the guys in the front, deciding to come in a little bit earlier than their competitors.
Oh, Weiland back in. Weiland, what you got?
Scheduled pit stops here for the 9 and the 3 of Matthew Bell. Ryan Hart's going to watch him, as well as others coming down pit road. Travis Beckner, Connor Lepezek, Ryan Swan as well. 4 tires and fuel. Yeah, right side's up on all 5 cars here on pit road. The left side's now going up for those that had the earlier stalls. And we're going to see who wins this race off of pit road. Bell out 15-1. Hart's out 14-6. Hart's is going to get off of pit road just behind Matthew Bell, but gained a lot of ground between the two. Ryan Hart's now in a good spot, but David Weishart leading Michael Sturgill.
Oh, leaders in.
Leaders are coming in. Nichols locks it up. He locks it up on the pit road entry. Did he get it down to pit road speed?
Black flag.
Oh, no.
And I got a meatball flag for the 9 of Matthew Bell, guys.
Wow, what?
What?
Yeah. I think there was an incident off of turn 1 for Matthew Bell as he was getting up to speed.
Oh,
All of these cars coming down pit road.
He's got a ton of damage on the right front of that car.
What on earth happened?
Oh, right here. Spun the tires up, leaving the pit lane right here. Gets up through the gears.
Oh, you talked about those bumps on the inside. Hit a bit of a bump there, unsettled the car. Wow, I have never seen that.
Front runners dropping like flies. Go ahead.
Jacob Bell, car 77, also with a black flag for speeding on entry. So that's the 77 and 29 throwing their races away. 4 tires and fuel for the rest of the guys that have come down. Jake Nichols now adrift by quite a few to David Weishart and Michael Sturgill right now, but he is the first to get out off of pit road of the guys that have latest to come down. Ryan Hart's actually 2 positions now behind Jake Nichols. He was able to get by Matthew Bell after Matthew Bell's incident.
So both of the boards that were running second and third, penalties and meatballs for those 2 drivers. That puts second place in the hands of Greg Mitchell and then third in the hands of Ryan Hartz. What a turn of events here on the pit stop sequence, Finney. We always talk about the importance of getting it right. Pocono is a pretty big pit lane. It's not a place you typically see screw-ups and incidents, but there was a bunch on that run-through.
Yeah, that was surprisingly chaotic. I was expecting a little bit, especially some of the black flags for speeding. Usually always get those, especially when you don't have a whole lot of green flag pit stops. But what happened with the 9 and Matthew Bell, I've never quite seen before. And it's so unfortunate because that car was so competitive.
Well, one thing to look at here, this is actually for third because Sturgill and Weishart already made their pit stops. And they're 3 to 4 seconds in front of the 91 of Nichols as the 4 of Weaver's on pit road.
As I got Alex Weaver coming down the pit lane at me here, nice and steady, no black flags for the 4. The 29 still has yet to serve his. Not sure, and I think that's him coming to me now. Yeah, he's on pit road. Alex Weaver, 4 tires. The right sides are up right now. Right's down, coming around to the left side. Left's up for the 4 as well. Gonna get all 4 here. He's currently leaving 6 cars that have not made pit stops now. That would be Tyler Nichols, Shane Abbey, Jonathan Cogswell, Andrew Player, Mark Patterson, and Dom DeLeo, the top 6. And David Weishart, 3-second lead over Jake Nichols after David was the second to blink, Michael Sturgill being the first, but Sturgill was about 3/4 of a second adrift to Weishart.
So Weishart has just come in, so he rolls back out into, well, I lied.
Which should be the lead.
Yes. Sturgill, then Nichols, then Mitchell, Hartz, Yonishiwu, Grant, and front 6 have yet to pit here, Finian, but 25 laps to go. Things are getting pretty serious now. We're down to the final 20 minutes or so of this race, and that's going to go pretty quick.
Oh, absolutely, and I'm curious to see who's going to be the one that ends up on top. It'll be very interesting if a caution came out now, because Weishart and Sturgill are ahead of the 91. I'm sure they're kind of hoping that's what happens to kind of reset the order.
Well, I'm interested in seeing if anyone can catch up to the 3 of Nichols, Mitchell, and Hartz. You got Cosmin Yonishiwu, who's about a second, like 1.4 seconds behind, and Hartz is actually losing ground. But if these guys can get up to where Nichols and Mitchell are, it could be a dogfight for the lead.
Definitely keep an eye on this 2 of Mitchell. Knows that no one has really effectively passed this 91 tonight. These are the first laps he has not led, and it was just because of differing pit strategies. So if you've got an opportunity to swing around him now, you should take it, because who knows how many more opportunities you're going to get before the end of the night as we approach 20 laps to go. Up at the very pointy end of the field, yet to make stops, Nichols, Abbey, Cogswell. Nichols and Abbey nose to tail right now.
Yeah, waiting for them to come in. I imagine they're going to potentially come in sooner rather than later. I don't think they want to stay out there too long, because we always see guys, they try to stay out long and then they need to, and they just don't have enough time to really use their fresh tires to come back. So you got to imagine at some point they're going to come back down, I would think.
They have to. Alan Ballacino.
Unless,
go ahead.
Sorry, I just wanted to put that out there. Unless they're just waiting out there for caution to come out. That could be their strategy at this point.
But no one else would pit, so they'd lose a bunch of track position anyway?
I mean, I don't know. I think they're kind of hoping that it's long enough into the run where guys are going to consider maybe pitting. I don't know. I think they're just throwing a Hail Mary.
Well, they're getting around Sturgill now. At least Jake Nichols has. Greg Mitchell trying to do the same. Then Ryan Hart's just kind of lurking there in the back trying to get some sort of draft, but the gap is closing to catch up to the 33 of Weishart.
There he is. Middle of your screen in the blue car right here. Then Jake Nichols, Mitchell, Sturgill, Hartz, Yonishiwu, Grant, Perhan, and Ware. And the rest of the field streaming in behind them. Now, here's the thing. If you're hoping and praying for caution flags, I wouldn't hold my breath at this stage. Now that we've got everyone kind of cycled through, we've got these, I mean, we still got close racing happening around the racetrack, but it's not nearly as volatile as it was when everyone was bunched up together. So we could conceivably go green to the end, and in that case, you better hope you made a decision that will put you up front at the end of this race.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where now you made your bed, now you made your bed, now you have to lay in it. So for those guys up there, I think if they didn't come in now, I think they're just going to kind of ride this out and kind of see what fate has in store. But meanwhile, you're expecting and Weishart, Nichols, Mitchell the lead as they run. We'll see. I'm curious to see how long Weishart's going to last out there. He only's got about 5 lap older tires than Nichols and Mitchell. I mean, it's enough that they're obviously catching him, but curious if he's got anything, with that difference, anything left to defend from the 91 catching up.
I'd say he's got everything to defend. I mean, he's already got a win in the bag. What more could it hurt if he goes and tries to make an aggressive block for potentially a second win of the season? Got off the tunnel turn there a little squirrely, but now win under the belt, you're inclined to take more risk, and that's why we saw him pit early on, and wouldn't surprise me if he throws a block or two at the 91 when he catches up to him.
You're watching the Area Cup Series here from Pocono. 20 laps to go at the Tricky Triangle, the penultimate race of the regular season before we kick off the playoffs in a couple weeks' time at the Indianapolis Road Course. I want to thank SimRat Market. Fans, be sure to check out simratmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple to use and help you stay more focused on the racetrack. 20 laps to go. Tyler Nichols is currently your leader, but still has to make a pit stop. Shane Abbey, Cogswell, Player, and more also have to do the same. Your current leader that will cycle is this guy, the 33 of David Weishart, but right behind him, closing, Jake Nichols and Greg Mitchell.
Yeah, they're coming up pretty quick. You see the difference in the speed coming out of turn 2. The 91 closing in very quickly as the total Shane Abbey is dipping to pit lane, and this time by Nichols closes in very tight off of turn 3.
Going to get underneath the 33 here of Weissart. What's Greg Mitchell going to do in the 2? Is he going to give the push to the 33? Indeed, he will. Try and keep him in front of the 91, but even with the push, just doesn't seem like it's enough there. We got Weiland back. Weiland, what you got?
Just cleaning up. Shane Abbey finally bailed out and decided to come down pit road. Said there was no yellow that's going to come out and decided to finally bring it to us. Now leaves 5 drivers on the racetrack that have not pit the top 5 on your timing and scoring there. Just to note how hard it is to pass, here is radio from Miller Racing and Travis Beckner.
Bryce took the air off my nose.
Yep.
And as Travis was saying that, he almost nailed the turn 1 wall about 2 laps ago. So Travis not having a good time in the dirty air and not able to really get to Bryce Sanisak. So these guys getting a little landlocked again now that the tires are starting to wear.
Yeah, still a long way to go by mileage standards. We're about 17 minutes left, which isn't a lot of time. But as Finian mentioned a couple minutes ago, you've made your bed. You got to lay in it now. This is the choices you have made have led you to this point. And I think the best shot anybody's got to dethrone this 91 is the 2 of Greg Mitchell. But pace has been kind of fluctuating throughout the night, Finian. I don't think he's been consistently as fast as the 91 out front.
Yeah, and I do want to take this time to make a bit of a correction. What I said earlier, I think I said earlier that he was around 14th in points. He's actually 19th in the points. He only just entered the top 20 after last week, gained 3 positions up into 19th. So he's pretty far out of the picture. He can really, really use some solid points to his name. And again, once the cycle's up, should be in 2nd place. So I think he'll definitely gain quite a bit, especially because a lot of his competitors ahead of him did suffer quite a bit. Cress Rabel, can add him to the list of guys that's going to probably drop down the order quite a bit. So I think he's going to be hoping he can try to get closer and closer. He might not quite be inside that top 12, though, come the race's end, and especially heading to Talladega. He's going to have to hope for a Hail Mary next week.
Unless he can get around the 91 of Jake Nichols.
Yeah,
I wouldn't count out Greg Mitchell just yet. I wouldn't count out Ryan Hartz either. I still think we see a caution before this one's over. Punch the field back up, and could see some interesting things happen. That's if we do get a yellow and a restart.
Well, I was going to say, this is your caution clock right now.
Oh, God.
I'm about to take over. That was the craziest thing. That was the craziest thing NASCAR ever did in my lifetime.
I still can't believe they ever thought of that. A lot of little implementers just thought of that.
That blew my mind that they would even consider. Like, I can't believe that was real, is how crazy that rule was.
Well, they only used it more than once in one truck race. There was a race where they used it twice. Other than that, there was only one time where a caution came out because the time ran out on the caution clock.
I guess also the stages are basically the caution clock, but racing the laps.
Yep.
So I really wish I could turn off my Steam notifications, Mitch. But I can't.
I wonder if Mitch realized that and is just doing it on purpose.
He
now.
might
I've noticed that pop up quite a bit.
Well,
here's the thing. I just reconfigured all my stuff, and I forgot that Steam notifications are a thing. I'm going to change that right now.
Well, I was going to say about the caution clock. The caution clock crawled so the stages could run.
Dang, I was just going to say that. I was just going to say that. Beat me to it.
Whoop. Mark Patterson locking it down, getting onto pit lane. And he will move Nichols now up to 4th, as we just have 3 drivers remaining that have yet to make pit stops. And Greg Mitchell has eaten into Nichols' lead just a little bit. It's just a 10th here, a 10th there, then he loses a 10th. It's just, he's so close. It's just making that pass is so challenging, Finney, and someone's got to get to his outside. But Nichols knows this drill. He's not going to let you get out there. You got to do something different.
Yeah, I'm just curious what he's going to do. I mean, it's easy to say, yeah, try something different, but it's really, there aren't really a whole lot of options. I mean, he can kind of just throw it in whichever way he wants because he doesn't have a whole lot of direct competition. Hartz is hanging out about half a second behind these guys, so he's not posing any direct threat over the 2. So he can try to get a little bit experimental. Thing is, what exactly do you want to do? Try to move to the inside because the inside is not going to work in the long term. That run out of the corner, it's so hard to give up to that outside lane, and you can bet that Nichols is definitely not giving you that outside.
Well, speaking of outside, the only one outside on the racetrack is Eric Weiland. Weiland, what you got?
Hey guys, so Mark Patterson finally bailed on his strategy. We saw that. He actually came down pit road, and it looks like he's actually going to retire the car at this point because he's on pit road for... No, there he is. He's finally pulling away after a minute on pit road, but I didn't see a black flag, so I didn't think he sped on entry. Michael Sturgill also coming down pit road. Looks like that early pit stop did not pay off. He did need to stop again for a quick splash of fuel. Leaves 3 cars still out here in the top 3, and also Dom DeLeo, but Dom is falling down the leaderboard very quickly. Currently P12 for Dom DeLeo, but Tyler Nichols, Andrew Player, Jonathan Cogswell still yet to make their stop. They do have to make it even though we're at 14 to go. One more note for you guys. Here's a radio from Fazekas Motorsports, specifically Ricky Springer, talking about one of the earlier incidents he was involved in.
I was actually looking at the car when my team unloaded it, and I realized that they put ARCA brakes on these, so that explains the crash we were all involved in.
So Ricky not happy with some of his fellow competitors and their ability to slow down for incidents. Probably one of those earlier pileups we had, especially that big one off of turn 2 early on. Regardless, Ricky Springer, we documented at the top of our broadcast that he was only 13 points above 21st, where if he falls out of the top 20, his win does not get him in the playoffs. Currently 21st on the racetrack, guys, and not good points that Ricky needs if he wants to have a comfortable gap heading into Talladega.
Yeah, so considering that, we're 13 laps away from the next laps being at Talladega. So that's how close we are to that reality, and that's what's going to determine the rest of the season for a lot of drivers is these last 13 laps and then the first 50 or so next week. A little bit of scrambling here. Alex Weaver had a big moment out of turn 2. There's one car slowing on the front straightaway,
yeah,
guys.
I was just about to point that out. That is Alan Ballacino. He is doing something now.
He's having fun.
I mean,
he needs a little spice in his life. And
I think someone needs to do a breathalyzer on that man.
well, or we could put a chicane in there like Charlotte did and spice up the straightaway a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's trying, actually speaking about the 70, I was genuinely surprised. He dropped all the way down to 22nd. I was expecting to hang out inside at least the top 15, but he's been really struggling on this run, so I guess, as Hunter mentioned, he's having a little bit of fun.
Well, had he gotten a bunch more restarts, he might have been in a good spot, but just didn't have the long run pace tonight to carry on the momentum that he had at the beginning of the race. So 12 laps to go now. We are getting down to the very end of this 11th race of the season. Jake Nichols, Greg Mitchell still just tidily locked together, but Nichols is unable to get out of the gravitational pull of that number 2.
Yeah, curious to see what he's going to do here. Lap's starting to wind down. Hart's is also starting to close in a little bit. That gap went up from around 6 tenths of a second down to 3, so that number 3 machine is going to start looming in the mirror of Mitchell, and so he's going to be a little bit more cautious now as they work through some lap traffic. Number 26, Cogswell getting past. It's actually, not lap traffic. That's for position. As Cogswell drops down a few places.
Yeah, going to fall back to 5th. Under attack now from Ryan Hartz for that position, riding car with him. And you mentioned he's been closing the gap bit by bit on that 2 of Mitchell. If he can get up to the bumper, we might see a possible pass for position here, because as mentioned, once you're side by side, that pulls the car behind all the way up towards you. So, well, I mean, we'll have to see. Coming up on 10 laps to go here. We still have A. Nichols leading. It's not Jake, it's brother Tyler. Still has yet to pit. Andrew Player 10 seconds behind in the second spot, but
Andrew Player calling down to pit lane. He's finally surrendering.
Yeah, well, that's another major point here.
And Tyler Nichols coming in.
Yes, they're both hitting pit lane. And, look out, guys. He's going to have to pull down across the nose of the 91. There he goes. That was a little closer than comfort. But I wanted to note that any traffic would have been real convenient for Mitchell, but now they've got a lot of clear road ahead of him as we hit 10 laps to go. 25 miles remaining in this race. Eric Wineland down on pit lane as we get towards the tail end of this.
More tires and fuel for the guys that did not get the caution that they wanted. Here is some radio from Solar Fire Racing, trying to keep it lighthearted as TK was leading.
I think it's rain. I think it's too dark.
Yeah, it's too dark. I can't see.
Too.
Can't see out here, dude.
I can't see.
They were just trying to have a little bit of fun, but unfortunately the caution did not come out for those guys. So Tyler Nichols, Andrew Player, Jonathan Cogswell, all down pit road for 4 tires and fuel. They have fresh tires for the end of the race and can potentially stay out if we do catch a yellow in these final 10 laps and still cycle themselves toward the front, as it looks like they will stay on the lead lap about 40 seconds behind the leader.
Thanks, Eric. 9 laps to go now. A representative from each of the 3 manufacturers, Toyota, Ford, and Chevrolet, nose to tail. It is whole county over to 4th place Garrett Grant. So these are going to be your 3 drivers going for the victory here today. Hartz and Mitchell, could they work together here? Nichols is just this unstoppable force, but maybe Mitchell and Hartz could find a way around it, Finian?
I was going to say, he's yet to meet a immovable object, so that's really the big thing, is that this right. How many laps has Nichols led? I'm kind of afraid to look at that number, because it's a lot.
52 of the 72 that we've completed.
I was going to say, I think brother Tyler probably led the majority of the other laps, but otherwise it would have probably been almost every single lap, if not for the
until
pit
that
stop
point.
strategy.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been other domination from the 91 so far. I'm just curious to see if Mitchell's got anything, and especially if Hartz has got anything now that he's caught back up.
Yeah, I'm interested too. It seems like the gap has stayed the same the last couple of laps now, but if Mitchell wants to have a shot, he's going to need to get a run from behind from Hartz, or he's going to have to just flat out send it in there.
Hartz is driving off into the corner a little deeper than both of these drivers. So I'm not sure that he's going to be able to build the run, the slow in, fast out, kind of road course racing run that you need to give a push to the guy in front. Look at the 3 behind him, by the way. Grant, Ware, and Curhan. They are tacked up together. They're not making any ground, but they're giving all they can. Last time by, about a tenth slower than the leaders.
I was going to make any ground on the racetrack, although Curran and Ware have been working through the order pretty well. They were around 8th and 10th a few laps ago. So you look at the 3 now making a dive, having a look to the inside of Greg Mitchell down into turn 3. And can he get it done? Can he force the 2 to get out of line? Can't quite get clear.
If I'm Mitchell, I just tuck in here, guys. I mean, I've been following that 91 for the last 10, 15 laps. I've not gone anywhere. Why lose all the ground we made up? Just let Hartz through and see what you got. I mean, I just don't think there's anything to gain by making this fight happen here with this few laps left.
Well, Mitchell, we talked about earlier, he needs every point he can get.
I know, but he can't win the race.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I think I feel like there might be a part of him that realizes, I may not be able to win this race. He's tried for many laps now. Just now is just trying to get as many positions as possible. He's going to try to get back at the 3 of Ryan Hartz. Can't quite get there. So Hartz, for now, is secured a 2nd place.
Maybe 3 will go wreck the 91 Hunter. 2 spots for 1 for Mitchell.
If he can get up there.
Yeah, that's the big thing now.
Well, I do think, personally, that the strengths of these 2 cars, now they're in the right order. The 2 is able to gain big runs on the straightaway, and the 3 dives off into the corner. That pairing could be pretty potent, but I'm not sure that they're on the same wavelength right now, and I think it might be a little too late with all the ground they just lost fighting that position. Jake Nichols has been just rock solid, though.
Yeah, as he has been almost every single week.
Right on schedule, as Hunter mentioned earlier.
Yeah, no, you do for the win as the statistics showed. It's been a hard night for me.
It's 5 laps left, Vinny. Make it through it.
I'm so close to the end, but he's been just so amazing. Again, like we mentioned before many times, we're running out of stickers to put on the championship standing graphic. It's going to be even smaller if this run continues going to next week with 7 wins for the 91 heading into the playoffs.
It's just going to be the sticker and X7 next to it. It should make it a little easier there for Alan Noah to do so, which, by the way, forgot to point this out during qualifying. He held the track record at a 53.904. Jake Nichols shattering that with the 53.6. The top 12 cars from qualifying actually broke the old track record set by Alan Elwood. So that just shows that the next gen, they are quicker than the old cars.
Well, we're running out of time and running out of yellow flag opportunities, so we'll get these in before the end. Fans, be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Be sure to follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see who will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. And be sure to check out areairacing.shop for merchandise to represent your favorite driver. Shop from our selection of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, stickers, and more. Use code SWAN for 10% off your order at checkout. areairacing.shop. 4 laps to go, guys. Finishing this one off from Pocono. About 4 minutes left, 4 laps left. And the only fight towards the front is happening for 4th place. Garrett Grant has his hands full with Ware and Curhan.
Yeah, he's gotten close to the wall, the number 5, heading off into some of these corners, so he's starting to struggle here as Ware and Curran are putting some pressure with some slightly fresher tires. They've been working up the order, the 00 and the 24, up into 5th and 6th. Now they're just trying to get past Grant and see if they can get 4th and 5th respectively. They see that run, that Camry closing up to the camera, and actually sitting in behind, Ware being a little bit patient here.
Grant also, like Greg Mitchell, needing all the positions he can. So every position is a point, and that is the best thing you can see right behind him is Curran looking to the inside of Danny Ware for the 5th spot.
Not able to complete it. It's just been so hard to get passes complete. Drivers have been initiating them all night long. They've been able to initiate the pass, but completing it is something else entirely. Here, Weaver on the inside, Yoneshiwu on the outside, but look at the run that 84 is going to be able to carry. As long as Weaver can stay nose ahead into turn 1, he might be able to complete this, but that outside lane is so powerful down here at 1.
We'll see, though. Weaver going to absolutely throw it into the corner and get ahead of the 84. I was going to say that's exactly what he needs to do. He's going to park the bus in the middle of Apex. Nowhere for the 84 to go.
Well, this is going to drag in Rafe Slade if they keep swapping positions like so.
Great job by the 4 to recognize that if he drove in there too hard, and if he didn't slow down, he would slide up and lose that excellent back straightaway run. So he just kind of stomped on the brakes. As look at these guys are going to use the 22 as a pick, and Curran goes through on Grant, and now Ware's got the 5 to worry about.
Yeah, Garrett Grant's been really struggling in the tunnel turn specifically, so I had the lap car in. That was not good for the number 5 machine. Ware couldn't get going at a check up, actually mid-corner, lost some ground to the 5 of Grant, who's now trying to chase down the 24 down the straightaway, bobbing and weaving like they're in an IndyCar.
The snake method down the straights. Grant all the way up to the bumper of Curran. Going to back off, heading in the corner, try and gather as much momentum as he can. Head off of turn 1 and down the first back straightaway.
Running out.
Even the leaders are bobbing and weaving down the straightaway as well.
Well, because Hartz has run down Nichols down to about 2/10. He's have that lead. He's only going to get one more opportunity, though, and only 3 corners here, not 4. So you even have one less opportunity than you typically would.
Oh, got a great run out of turn 2.
And think about it. He's come second to him last week or a few weeks before. I think he might use the bumper here if he gets opportunity.
Oh, he's gonna have to, though. It's just so hard. This is really your best chance. It's down into turn 1. He's got a great run. White flag is waving. 2.5 miles here at the tricky triangle, and Hartz is finally back to the tailpipes of the number 91. Can he get there?
He's going to run out of opportunities here. Doesn't even make a move down.
Oh, he's in too hot. Nichols isn't hot. Finian, here they come through 1.
3 going to try to get a run here. Here's the 91 cutting down. Can the 3 of Hearts get enough of a run out at turn 1 as he almost clips the wall? They're going to weave down the back straightaway.
Nichols trying to hold on to the lead. Hart's trying to get everything he can. They're going all the way down low, all the way up high. Heading through the tunnel turn for the final time. Got one more turn to make one more last-ditch effort for Ryan Hartz.
Great corner for Ryan Hartz at the tunnel turn. He's going to have to use the bumper. Ain't no way he completes this. Into turn 3, goes to the bottom. Nichols goes to the high side, but Hartz can't get to the bumper. He can't do it. Gave it all he had, keeping it clean. Checkered flag for the 7th time this season. Jake Nichols absolutely dominates and wins at Pocono. He tackles the tricky triangle as Hartz and Mitchell come home 2nd and 3rd.
That was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be at the end there.
Wow.
Whoa, 1 car.
Oh. That is Okresic.
They had a little scrap coming to the line. Here's a look at Simrat Market replay. Little door banging there.
Travis Beckner there was the car they touched down the straightaway, but man, oh man. Hartz wanted to keep it clean, but gosh, I thought we were going to see the bumper there.
You would have had to call me a summary. I would have absolutely sent it down into turn 3. That was I think he tried to call the 91 bluff and try to throw it in there. It looked like he was going to absolutely send it and force the 91 out of line, but Nichols kept his line, and he knew that the 3 wasn't going to do it.
He 6 wins. He should have gone for it, guys.
I would have. I absolutely would have.
Nichols ain't going to care. Checkered flag, though. Nichols picks it up again. And you can't say he didn't earn this one. Dominant force. When everything cycled out, there was nobody that led any laps tonight. It was the only one that led laps was his brother on a different pit sequence. This was all Jake Nichols' race tonight, dominated here at Pocono, and will celebrate on the very long straightaway.
Did he tell he's at practice? I don't think he could tell you at practice.
No. All right, let's have a look here at the race results. Top of the order, Jake Nichols, as we've documented. Ryan Hartz, Greg Mitchell. Great run, though, for Greg Mitchell. Regardless, it'll be a good points night. Maybe he should have fought that position, Finian, a little bit harder.
Yeah, in hindsight's 2020. I think he figured, just didn't want to make too much of an upset there with the number 3. I don't think he wanted to risk taking him out or just getting himself wrecked. So he brought it home in a solid 3rd place. Same thing to Garrett Grant also. Garrett Grant's sitting like 19th in the points as well. So another really solid point state for him. Coming home in 5th, Danny Ware, Slate, Alex Weaver, Cosman Yoneshiwa, and Travis Beckner rounding out your top 10. I'm still amazed that Beckner finished in 10, despite the fact that he started this race 2 laps down.
Well, had to make a little contact with Okrezik, falling back to 12th to get that effort. Bryce Senesac, also a pretty good finish. 11th for him after getting caught up in a crash or two, or nearly getting caught up in the one with Weishart. Got Delonte Ballard 13th, and Aaron Smith, Dwayne Culberson, Gabriel Ellison, Shane Abbey, Ricky Springer 18th. Good recovery there for the crash that he was involved in. Alan Balancino 19th, and 20th is brother Tyler Nichols.
21st place, Andrew Player, then Cogswell narrowly missed a couple of accidents tonight, ends up 22nd. Down the order, Dom DeLeo had some damage that put him down towards the bottom here. Then some drivers that had some troubled nights. Mark Patterson, Chris Rabel had such a good night going, Finian, but he will round out the night in 30th.
Yeah, you got Matt, and then you got some even more heavy hitters down here. Matthew Bell in the number 9, finishing 31st after having a competitive car. David Weishart never able to recover from that spin early on. Brian Chambliss didn't mention it. He ended up losing connection in the race, as I kind of alluded to, unfortunately, earlier before the race started. Did lose internet connection. And then James Scaglio, of course, just retiring early on. I'm just can you imagine a NASCAR driver just like, I didn't feel like racing. Just parked it. Want to go home.
Well,
maybe some.
I'm sure some want to do it. Don't think the sponsor will be too happy.
We'll talk to our top 3 drivers here in just a minute, but for Jake Nichols, a solid last lap here, and let's go over that last lap here. Coming out of turn number 3, back to the start-finish line, just battling that number 3 here, coming back. Eric, what you got?
This is radio from Jake Nichols as they came through turn 3, coming to the checkered flag.
Me too. Good race, guys. Good race, Ryan and Greg. That was fun. Fun as it can be. Woo! Let's go. I couldn't figure that out deep in the race, man. I think I went too early, so I was just tight. Oof.
So Jake relieved to get the win right there, and I'm sure he'll tell you all about the fact that he couldn't get through turn 2 very well and was way tight on that final run. When you get a chance to talk to him here in just a few moments.
Well, we'll talk to him in a little bit. First up, though, is Greg Mitchell, who fought hard all night long with Ryan Hartz and Jake Nichols. Greg, in the end of this race, you weren't able to quite get to the 91. Had a little scrap there with the 3. I know you're probably disappointed you couldn't get around that 91, but you'll still take home some really good points after tonight.
Yeah, it was a good point day, and it was fun to be racing up front for once. Usually I'm mid-pack and just get stuck in somebody's crap or get to racing hard and burn off your tires. So it was really fun to race up front tonight and race with Ryan and Jake. And Jake's always tough. I was honestly just riding, staying in his draft, and he just saved his tires a lot better than I did, or better than I could too.
Yeah, it seemed like it was challenging to pass at times, and people were getting real greedy on the restarts. The restarts were a challenge this evening. Take us through the rundown to turn 1, and how are you able to kind of rebound from not getting the best restarts all night with that tricky restart zone?
Yeah, that was tough. Starting second was just a death trap. I mean, Ryan came on the radio and was apologizing, and I was running 4th, and I mean, there's nothing he could do. I was there on this I think 2 starts, and we don't know what was going on with the black flags. They said they'd clear it as long as we didn't do anything, too conspicuous, but it definitely put us at a huge disadvantage. It would have been nice to have been, 3rd or even 5th compared to 2nd, because that was really, really hard to time. And then, of course, it really hurt you because that straightaway is so stinking long.
Well, thanks, Greg. It was a great run for you tonight. 3rd place in that number 2. Best of luck to you next week at Talladega. It's going to be a wild one.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Also, and just real quick, thanks to Fazekas Motorsports. It's been great being on part of this team this year, and for NAI, DeLeo Bram, and Eat Sleep Race, Meg Air Bank, and Fame Construction for being on the car. I appreciate all those guys, and thanks to you guys in the booth.
Appreciate it, Greg. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Up next, Ryan Hartz, 2nd place tonight, 1 spot shy And that's been a real common theme, Brian, unfortunately, for this season across a variety of series. But you gave it your all down into turn 3. Thought you had something there for Jake, but couldn't quite get there.
And sometimes I hate myself. Going into turn 3, I can't move him. I can't. I don't race like that. Like, I can't just drive in there and hit him and feel good about myself. Like, I don't know. It's just I saved my tires pretty good. That final run, not good enough. I felt like, it was, if I was gonna get beside him, it was gonna be extremely hard to pass him. But man, that stings. That does, because I didn't think I was gonna get second. I thought Greg and Jake had the upper hand with the top 2 positions, but once I got to Greg, I was like, I gotta get around him now, and then I gotta work on Jake. And luckily, I got around Greg pretty quickly. But like I said, man, I can't force myself to move him. I don't know. It's like all I said in the last corner. Like I just can't do it.
Well, couldn't do it, but you were so close, Ryan. We head into Talladega next week. That's going to be just an interesting one for sure. So what's your plan going into Talladega, and how comfortably you can at least get through it next week?
Well, last season, I was already locked into the playoffs, and I pushed Jordan Martin to the win, which got him in the playoffs. So might as well just do the same thing as last season. Just try to get at least one of the guys on my team to victory lane, and hopefully we can have deja vu all over again and make that happen for Jordan or Jake or Ed so that's basically my goal. But thank you to Rick's Hot Sauce for coming on board, and thanks to JBR. There's a great team, and one more to go for the playoffs.
All right, Ryan, we'll see you there at Talladega.
Thanks, guys.
Jake Nichols, for the 7th time this season, gets it done. Absolutely dominated tonight, Jake, but I'm sure there were a couple moments that you had some drivers side by side that might have had you on your toes there for a minute, but no one was able to pass you, and the only laps you didn't lead were the ones that came with a pit cycle. So, man, you got to be feeling real good about your chances in the playoffs. 7 wins. That's way more than everybody else.
Yeah, my goal this season was to get at least one more than last season. I just wanted to up myself one, and I was happy. And obviously, we're trending pretty good. You never know what could happen. I mean, we're going to Talladega next week, so it's going to be hard to win that one. And we got a road course in the playoffs and a few tracks that I'm good at, but we got one that I'm not as good at. So it's a 50-50 shot to get more than I got last season. But Solar Flare Racing Toyota Camry was on rails. I kind of made a few mistakes. I think trending toward long run tonight, I kind of pushed a little too early, I think. And also shifting and not shifting was a big play in how tires wore. And I was so tight the last 5 laps of each run there. The first run, it was good. I think the track probably cooled off, and maybe that's why. But I'm so glad I held off just enough. I felt confident side by side, though. I knew I could hold people off in a side-by-side battle. So I just needed to make sure no one cleared me and I could hold them off and keep the lead. But either way, it was as fun as you're going to get with Pocono. It's kind of draft lock, and it's hard to really get away from everybody, but it was a fun race with Ryan and Greg there. And Ryan tried to dive it into 3. I knew he wouldn't do anything dumb, though. He's pretty smart. I've got to race with him a bunch in the last few weeks up front, and he's shown a lot to me, so a lot of respect at that too. So I'll definitely give it back, and hopefully we keep racing each other hard and keep these battles going into the playoffs.
We're going to get a chance at Talladega next week, and I guess I'm sorry to inform you that a lot of your wins come after not winning. So I think next week you're due to not win. I think that's how that pattern's been going.
Maybe.
You did win 3 in a row, though, so there's that.
Heck yeah, man.
I would say he can go 2-3 in a row. It's just if he loses one, he wins the next one. It's a statistically proven fact, Jake. Statistically proven.
I guess I need to lose right before Nashville then in the playoffs.
Yeah, no pressure.
I guess that sounds right. Yeah.
Well, losing's the easy part, thankfully.
Yeah.
So, all right, Jake. Hey, thanks a lot. Best of luck to you next week at Talladega.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Alrighty, we'll wrap things up here in just a moment. Finney, let's start with you. Final thoughts here from Pocono. Good racing, hard to pass, but the drivers that could did a pretty good job launching an assault on Jake Nichols. They just couldn't finish the deal.
I was going to say, you want to add an asterisk to that because it was hard to pass for the lead. Down the order, there's actually some really good racing for every other place. Some guys are absolutely going at it, some really tough, hard racing. What we've seen throughout the entire season so far, so some great stuff. Can't wait to see what happens at Talladega being the wild card. We'll see maybe someone definitely on the outside looking in. Maybe they have the shot of finally getting their way, getting themselves into the playoffs, because we know that it's going to be hard for Jake Nichols to dominate at that track. There's just way too many factors out of his control, but I'm sure he'll probably find some way to get his 8th win.
Hunter, what you got?
I will say this was a very entertaining Pocono race. No bias there whatsoever. Had some good racing side by side. Had some that went a little sideways with the cautions there, but I will say overall pretty solid effort, and can't wait for Talladega. That might be the one race where Jake Nichols is not guaranteed a certain victory. That Daytona and even Atlanta. I mean, we saw Travis Beckner win, saw Ricky Springer win. Maybe Ricky Springer could go back to back on these quote unquote super speedway races, because Atlanta really is a super speedway, but they turn it into one. But I'm looking forward to it. As mentioned, Jordan Martin won a season ago, entered the race 19th in points. So if you're inside the top 20 in points, and a win is all you need to get in at Talladega.
Eric Wineland, final thoughts here on Pocono.
Well, listen, home track, I love it here, but man, that was painful to watch these guys race and not have enough to be able to make a pass. I just kind of got draft locked, as Jake said, throughout the race. But to Hunter's point, Ricky Springer, 18th place tonight. Not a good look if he wants to try to make sure he makes the playoffs with his win at Atlanta earlier in the season. A great look is if he just goes out and wins at Talladega next week, like you said. So I'm absolutely excited because it's a super speedway final race of the regular season. It's going to be a wild card anyway, and it's just all the more intense next week before we head off into the chase in the Cup Series. Sad that the Truck Series does not get to make a stop here at Pocono tomorrow. We're going to Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan, the high-speed 2-mile banks. That's going to be a lot of fun. Thanks so much, everybody, for sticking on board. Had a big drive failure yesterday. Had to restructure everything. I think everything worked great, other than a couple little audio things at the beginning. I think I got one more thing to check out. So I'm pretty happy this went off without a hitch for the most part. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Truck Series at Michigan. We'll see you there.